Hey kids, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Oh my goodness. Why can't you see my avatar? Mm-mm-mm. Oh man. Give me a second. Technical difficulties. Your girl is struggling. Hold on. Hold on here. Can you hear me? Hey kids, can you hear me? Sorry, we're having some difficult technicalities this morning. My apologies. My apologies. Your girl's not feeling good, so this is the way we're gonna have to do it today. um, hold on. Mm-mm-mm. Hold on. I'm gonna pull myself off stage. All right, there I am. There I am. Welcome. Happy Sunday morning, kids. We are back for another, I think it's part 7. We're professionals here. Exactly. I am not professional. So if you expect that from your girl, you're in the wrong place. But I see all of my OGs in the chat. So you guys know how I operate. Girls, I walked in to this morning feeling like a sack of shit. And maybe that's what I get for being around sick people all week. um, but we're here. We're here, and we're gonna go over Frank Zell's. Oh, excuse me. Frank Zell's interview with Jay for Justice podcast, and it's absolutely fascinating. We probably will not get through it all. It's actually a very long live, so we'll probably do part of it today. Frank and Jim are both in this interview, and it's going to be spectacular. Lots of information. Jay is a wonderful interviewer, and it's going to be amazing. I am off my game today, guys. So my chat, my HR department, my producer, my sometimes co-host Nick, everybody's going to have to be on board today with helping your girl. It's Sunday, and I'm feeling like a sack of shit. So here we are. Um, oh yeah, hold on. Let me see. Let me if I can figure that out, Nikki, because um oh, here we go. Here we go, Nick. Here we go. I can't even think straight. What is happening? All right. Here you go, Nick. All right. So let me pull up this. It's a fascinating interview, guys. Fascinating. Here we go. Let me see if I can get us looking a little different. Oh no, that's not what we want. That's not what we want. How was everybody's evening? Oh, Nikki sent to the chat. Hey, I gotta find you, girl.
Hey.
Hi. Thanks for
Feel like a bag of smashed assholes, are you?
dude, a bag of smashed ass. I was like laying on my recliner back asleep, and my mother's like, "Do you know it's past 10?" And I'm like, "Oh my god, it is."
It's fine. We're good.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, so
It's 6
this is
something.
Frank and Jim's interview. They're twins, mind you, so they're always just consider them a unit because Frank is
Right.
listening. I don't want him getting upset with us because we're not involving Jim, but
Right.
sometimes I forget about
He
Jim
did
because I
correct me
only talk to
last.
Frank. So
Right, and I think that was my problem, that I was only discussing with Frank, so in my mind, it's Frank, but I do know
yeah,
that it was 2 of them, they're brothers, and I didn't realize they're twins, that's amazing.
I believe they're
Frank and Jim
twins. I could
Zell,
be wrong, but I'm almost positive that they're twins.
how cute is it to be friend? You're born with, like a built-in friend, and look at them, they're out here investigating God's work because the Boulder police won't do it, and neither will FBI, so there's that. Thank God for Frank and Jim.
Right.
All right. I need to make sure that me and you are both in the screen. Oh, we are, girl. We are.
Can I
All
just
right.
tell you though, I'm excited that you're not on screen because I didn't want to come
Yeah.
on screen.
Yeah. No.
I'm like, I
No.
want to be
There's no
braless
part.
and no makeup and in my
Yeah.
jammies for this.
Yeah.
You
Absolutely.
know.
I'm not even on my desk. I'm in my bed. I'm like, fuck that shit. But I do want to go through it because this is a fascinating. I mean, Jay is a great interviewer and he gives a lot of information in sequence that is going to be. Now we've been following this for 7 parts, and we had the honor of having Jim Frank up here at one point and speaking to us. And this is just elaborating on the things that we were talking about in probably a better form because we just have a coffee talk over here. This is more
Cash.
structured,
Very,
and
very,
she
very
does a
cash.
really we're very casual people. Yes. Oh, hey. Oh, you're 3 minutes
Oh, that's
older.
he's an old man, so yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, he's 3 minutes older
Frank's
than.
driving. He did say he would hop on, but
Okay.
yeah, I think we should get through.
Yeah, I
And if need
agree.
be, I can text some questions. So
Sure. Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be wonderful, Nikki. Thank you. All right. So without further ado, we're going to jump into this. I put Jay's link to this interview in the chat. If you guys want to go save it and watch it without our commentary, that's fine. But me and I just called you Jem. Who the fuck is Jem, Nikki? Who's Jem?
yeah, I don't know
I
who the
said
fuck
in
is
Jim. I
Jim.
said Jem. Am I all right? Did
I mean,
Sudafed
that's
kick
on the
in?
town.
It is Jimma.
Jim,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Not to not to name drop, but I actually know Jimma. The real Jimma.
Oh, you do? That doesn't
I
surprise.
do.
Doesn't
Yeah.
surprise me.
No. Okay. All right. Let's get into it. So this is I dropped the link to Jay's and I am going to actually pin it to the
Oh,
top so we don't
it's
lose it.
Jen's birthday. For everybody can say happy birthday to
Oh,
Jen.
happy birthday to you. Happy
Yeah.
birthday to you. Happy birthday, our friend Jen Fox. Happy birthday to you. And thank you for being a Bad Kid Club member.
Yeah.
All right. All right, guys. Without further ado, let me make sure this is like not muted and shit. Hold on.
Oh, I
Because
do
we're
have to
trying to.
answer a question. Freddie Lynn is
Hold on.
listening. Okay.
I can't. She has her. Oh my God. Okay, go ahead.
Do you remember the Jack Ruby comment that he posted the last time?
Mm-hmm.
Who's the Jack Ruby of the Ramsey case? I was
Yes.
told that the DA's office
Mm-hmm.
and um, Mary Keenan, basically, and also the Boulder police is the Jack Rubies of the Ramsey case.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
That's pretty wild.
Mm.
That's pretty wild.
I'm not going to get
All
into
right.
that. Yeah, basically, it's just they're just trying to keep it under wraps to keep it hidden for the truth to come
Yeah.
out, basically.
Yeah. And the truth will come out eventually. It always does, right? This will eventually found out one way or another, and I'm here for it. And I'm here for it. But one thing I love about having you have introduced me to Frank and Jim Zell is it has completely warped my perception about what this case is
100%.
about and
Mm-hmm.
how big it is. And actually, I was on a channel yesterday, Jay actually, and she kept telling people because they were going over the web sleuths lady about how she is just a tyrant when it comes to this case, like she claimed it.
Yeah.
And Jay was like, if you really want to know about the JonBenet Ramsey case and what goes on in Boulder, Colorado, you should really look into Jay and Frank Sell, Jim and Frank Sell, and watch her interview. And so this is what I actually got permission for her. I felt weird about not. I got permission to use this. So thank you, Jay, for allowing us to use this.
No,
And
that's great. Thanks, Jay.
yeah,
She's the best. She's a great interviewer.
she
Sure.
is. She's great. If you guys are into the Lori Vallow, Dave Bell case, she actually did an interview with Julie Rowe. And if you know, you know. So she did a great one
Yeah.
there.
She's
Mhm.
very what's the word I'm looking for? Controlled.
She
Has her
is.
notes. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
she stays on topic.
She's professional.
She is a professional. Yeah.
She's professional. She
And
definitely
not in
is.
the
Hey,
same professional way as we are, but she's a
yeah.
much better professional than we are.
Right. All right. So I'm gonna actually pull this
Hey
out
guys, good
because
morning.
good morning. Can you man chat? I think can you pull up
Yeah.
comments? Yeah,
I
okay,
can't
cool.
I think I can.
Yeah, you just highlight them and it pops up on the screen because I won't be able to see it.
Is it up now?
Right,
I'm trying to show
hold
one. It
on.
says show on stage. It's not clicking.
No, you know what? I gotta make you an admin on here, which I'm going to. Okay.
How am I not an admin yet? That's wild.
Nikki, you should have been an admin fucking A1 day one, but here we are.
Right.
This channel has gone through some hiatuses. I mean, I'm just saying.
This channel's gone
What the
through a
fuck?
lot.
Yeah, this channel has morphed into a lot of things for a lot of bullshit. So here we are. All right. I love us. All right. Just make sure you if the chat could and Nikki, let me know if you can hear it, okay?
Oh, there's my Freddie Lynn, my boy.
Oh,
Everybody
hi Freddie.
everybody
I'm
say hi to
happy you're
Freddie.
back. Hi Freddie. I'm happy you're back here. I'm happy you're back to come and learn as much as you can about this case because it is wackadoodle stuff. It's stuff that nightmares are made of. And Sky's here. Let's see who else. Oh, we got Wayne. Of course, we have Wayne. Hi. Good morning, baby. I hope everyone has a coffee and a comfy blanket because it might be a couple hours.
Yeah, it's gonna be a
We
long
have
one.
Stacy.
Take
We
breaks,
have
take pee
Jen.
breaks,
Yeah,
coffee
take pee
breaks,
back. Yeah, do all the things you got to do.
smoke some butts or some
Yeah,
other paraphernalia. We don't care.
yeah.
Just get comfy.
I got my vape on deck.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Nikki
Hanging
and
tough.
Frank, for the follow up. Really caring about your fans.
And my girl Natalie, I'm so happy you're here. Yeah, exactly. Good morning, Natalie. And all the hate watchers, welcome. Thanks for the engagement. Okay, we got that
in
out
the
of the
bushes.
way. In the bushes.
Bitches.
I have other name for that, but we'll go a bitch. All right. Yep. Hold on. Which one am I at? We're gonna get rid of this one.
I know.
Okay. All righty. All right, guys. So this is the I'm just going to repeat it. This is the interview that Justice for Jay for Justice podcast did with Frank and Jim Zell, and it is fascinating. It's very long, so we're going to have to cut this into 2 parts. But buckle in, bitches, because this is where it's at.
Hey, if you can put Jay's because I can't, I'll lose it. But if you can go to Jay's YouTube and copy and paste it in the chat, her.
Yes, I did it. If you could just continuously do it throughout the thing, if you remember. Yep.
Yeah, because I can't do it. It will bounce me off.
Yeah, if I can find my phone, I can pin it, but I will while we're listening. All right, girls. All right, girls and gents. This is it. Let's go.
But why don't you tell us a little bit about yourselves, where we can find you if we have any follow-up questions. Frank, why don't you go first?
Yeah, I mean, me and my brother, born and raised, in New Jersey. We're just two regular guys, and we're nothing special, but we kind of started on this case.
I think you're special, Frank.
We just got hooked on it, and we've been nonstop for the last 28 years. Boy, time
David
flies.
Allen Boucher of
Jim, you want to say
investigation.
anything about you?
No, it's you had to have a little bit of a stick-to-itiveness, right, to this case. But it's like when you're digging up things and you're seeing that what you're finding, you're digging deeper, you're finding truth. That kind of keeps you going. And our theory, as we're going to talk about as the show goes on, we were finding ourselves, we were proving it true that's what kept us motivated, is that we were digging up more information, and it just went over years. And information we just didn't pile up like every day. It took years to build up sources with this. But as my brother said, we're just two regular Joes that just happened to not just research a case, but actually just ran a parallel investigation. What the police weren't doing, we did.
Yeah. People ask us all the time, during the course of 28 years, it's like, who are you guys? Are you guys former cops? Are you private investigators? And the best way we can describe it is that we're investigative journalists that don't write, and we're cops without badges. And when they ask us why we do what we do, we just tell them, whenever we see a void, we'll fill it. If we see cops or the press not doing their job, we'll kind of jump in. It's in our nature to jump in. And that's what happened with the Ramsey case. But as our handles, how to reach us, I'm on Twitter, FrankZ2137.
And @in the Zeller.
And what's the tip line, Jim? What's that tip line? We haven't got a tip in a while, but you never know.
jbrtips@gmail.com.
Ooh, that's good.
That's it.
All right, I'm putting that in the chat as we speak. jbrtips@gmail, correct?
Correct.
Thanks, guys. Yes, everyone is very, very thankful for the work that you guys have put in over the years. I find it absolutely fascinating. I want to know what made you two talk about this case? Did you just hear about it in the news, or how did that come about?
That came about, I was sitting in a bar in Hoboken, New Jersey. I was out drinking, and
my dude,
I was just chatting with the bartender, and it was late and the bar was empty.
He loves his Stella.
And there was a replay of the news of, I think, the 11 o'clock news.
Jameson.
And this was a few days after the murder, after the body was found.
Mm-hmm.
And it just caught my attention. I asked the bartender to turn it up, and it just something didn't sit right with me. I mean, from just immediately looking at it, something just seemed off. Okay, so it was, they found this kid dead in the basement. It just didn't make sense. So I called my brother. I'm like, Jim, how about we ask a few questions? We dig around for a couple of days. That's how it started. I said, let's just dig around Boulder, ask a few questions, and see where it goes. And that's how we started. So we just started making phone calls in Boulder, and it didn't take very long, a couple of days at most. And it started with the librarian that my brother talked to. So Jim, take it away.
So this starts with a librarian in Boulder.
That's right.
Okay.
It starts with just calling, I always thought this is right at the beginning of the internet, right? So,
Yeah.
The internet wasn't really a thing yet. This was just starting. So if you want to collect records or find out about a town, you go to your library because it's a town's memory.
Absolutely.
Right? That's where you get the information of your town. So I called the library in Boulder, and I got a hold of a librarian. I'm not sure if she was the head librarian or whoever, but she was a librarian. And I just asked her straightforwardly. I said, I'm calling in regards to this case with this girl, JonBenet. And I said, has this ever happened before in your town? Is this a one-off? Has this ever happened in other cases? And she was like, well, things happen to our kids in Boulder that we don't like to talk about. But she goes, I'm starting to get uncomfortable with this phone call, so I'm going to let you go. So it was very brief, but just the way, she came out and said, things happen to our kids in Boulder that we don't like to talk about. That's what she said. And I called my brother up and I said, that's a bizarre thing to say. I said that we may need to do a little more digging here.
Wow.
And then we kept digging. And shortly after that call, I talked to a mechanic in town, and he didn't have any direct knowledge, but he kept talking about, there have been rumors of child sexual abuse in this town for a long time.
Ooh.
So we're like, what the hell is going on? And meanwhile, the case, so we're doing this digging, and the case is unfolding as we're going. So as we're doing this,
it's playing out in the news, right?
Yeah, it's playing out
in real time. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. So, people don't understand how fast this case moved. Within 7 days, Patsy and John were on Larry King Live on CNN, which was like the big news talk show back then. 7 days. So it moved at lightning speed. It became a national, if not worldwide story within a couple of weeks. And it just became more and more bizarre. And meanwhile, we're digging in the town. My brother talks to the librarian. I'm talking to the mechanic. And I'm like, and we devised the theory in probably January of 1997. And we say, okay, our theory is going to be this. We call it the sex ring theory. We said that John and Patsy Ramsey did not kill their child, but they were involved in something that led to the child's death. And because of what they were involved with, they helped cover it up. That was the theory. And then from there, we just kept on digging, and we set a couple of goals. We said for our theory to be proven true, we would have to find a witness of some kind that would make accusations of child sexual abuse against John or Patsy or someone close to him. And if we could find that witness, and if we kept digging, we figured out that we would eventually come across a separate case, separate from the Ramsey case, that involved certain Ramsey players.
And, to me, Frank, that seems like such a brilliant concept, because we know birds of a feather flock together.
Absolutely.
And that one of them's bound to get caught sooner or later doing something,
Fact.
Right. But it was all about finding that witness in the beginning, because it's just a theory.
Sure.
Everybody has a theory about the case, and that was just one of them. And then we just kept on digging. And I think the first, if that was the theory in our heads and we were pretty certain about it, it became cemented to us as fact once we talked to a doctor in town, the name of Dr. Bob McFarland.
Okay.
And he was a doctor in town. I talked to somebody and we were still digging, and I mentioned our theory of the case, and they said, oh, you should talk to Dr. Bob. He performs a lot of free services for the runaways in Boulder, the homeless, the addicted. He's got a big heart, but he works with a lot of young adults. And that's how I got turned on to him. And when I first called Dr. Bob, he was kind of standoffish at first, because, the media is all over the place. Everybody's asking questions. And then he asked me, I'm sorry, Jim.
No, I'm saying everyone's asking questions.
Oh, yeah.
They're asking the wrong questions.
Asking the wrong questions.
Right.
Go ahead, Frank. Sorry.
Yeah. And once I told Dr. Bob my theory that, John and Patsy didn't kill their kid, we think there was a sex ring operating in the town, and, maybe they were involved with it, and that's the problem. And he said, you're pretty much spot on. The quote that he said was, I have kids lined up around the block talking about child sexual abuse.
Jesus.
And that floored me. And I'm like, I was like taken aback. I'm like, what? And he just repeated it. He goes, you heard me. He goes, I have kids lined up around the block talking about child sexual abuse. And I was just stunned.
Mm.
And Dr. Bob, I mean, this is the first time I'm ever talking to him. And then he's begging me and my brother to come out
Hi,
there.
Crack. Good morning.
Now, at the time, I'm working for UPS, Jim. I forget what you were doing.
It was post office at the time.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I'm like, why do you need us? You got the entire media of the country in the town covering this case. Why don't you just go to them? He goes, I don't understand. And he's like, you're the only guys asking the right questions.
You know, if you've seen the series, the True Detective, the first season, where Russ Cole is giving the interview with the two policemen, and he's just looking at him. He's like, you know, if you want to find out what's
Amy,
going on,
pause
you gotta
it.
start asking the right questions. You're asking the wrong questions. It was never just it was never straight off.
What's happening? You know, yeah, who's this? My name's close, especially when it's a child.
You're right.
You know, they
Yeah, sorry, I jumped ahead, but trying to find the.
No, you're good.
fine.
So basically, Jim and Frank are the only ones with the balls to ask the right questions. So,
The only ones.
like they said, they have kids around the block, and everybody, like, it was such a hushed case for a very well reason.
Yep.
Because there was many people involved, in a roundabout way. Not saying directly, but you can be, you know, like that saying was, you know, you can still be in the mud, but even if you're the cleanest person in the mud, you're still dirty.
I
So,
love that. I love that. I love that saying. Just because you were, it's kind of like one of those sayings. Just even if you weren't directly involved, you were indirectly, and that makes you fucking complicit.
correct.
Yes.
I'm
Amen.
trying to break up the stream a little.
Yeah, no, we have to. I was fiddle dicking around with the grid, and your girl's just not. I can't.
You're
do that
good.
today.
You're good. I got you, boo. I got
Yeah.
you.
So essentially, what this
No,
is?
Scott, not mud wrestling. Get your head out of the gutter.
You just want me and Nikki
Love
to
you,
mud
though.
wrestle, Scotty.
too.
So
He does. He loves us.
yeah. So this is essentially the beginning of how they got into it. People are always asking them, like, they're investigators or they're this and that. Just like I asked Frank when I spoke to him the other day, I'm like, are you guys like PIs? Are you guys like that? No, they're just concerned citizens that can do this very well, and they're the only people that really uncovered anything, right?
Correct. Well, because
Yes.
they stuck with it and they asked the right questions, and they really just didn't give enough. To be
Right.
To be frank, they didn't give a fuck.
Right. They did not give a fuck. Like,
My
come
kind
at
of people
me.
right there.
My kind of people. They're sleepy time sleuths. All right. Amy, will you refrain from commenting because I've grown up? Stop it. No, you haven't. I know you, Scott. I know you
You're a
personally.
fucking liar, Scott.
You're a liar. You're a liar. All right.
Who are you kidding? This is Amy and I. Stop it.
Stop it right now, Scott. We know
Stop
you.
it right now.
We've known you for years, sir. BDE over there. He loves that. To be frank, yeah. Did you see that? Ba-dum-bum. Yeah, I don't even think she meant to do it. It was perfectly set. Okay.
I didn't. You know, that was a one-up.
It's for our love for you, Frank. All right, let's keep going a little bit more.
They know that she died, and that's enough. But to get to the truth, you have to understand it. Her head was fractured from the back of her skull nearly to the front.
Yeah, bam.
Like her head was like split.
I think they said it was like an 8-inch gash in her head.
It was, it ran from the back of her head all the way to nearly the front of her head. So the amount of force to crack her skull like that was huge. The garrote was furrowed so deep into her neck, it's like you almost had to use tweezers to get the rope out.
Can you imagine?
That's how she was strangled.
You know, hearing John describe that in the documentary that just came out, or the series, how he said he couldn't even grab it because it was so deeply embedded in his daughter's neck.
And that's true. Yeah, that's true. And then, of course, you know, she was violated with the other half of the, of the paintbrush.
Right.
That was used as the garrote. So
Her
that's how
hands
that
were
was-
also tied behind her back, I think, too.
well, we're never really going to know the truth of how she was found because John Ramsey's the one that found her and disturbed the crime scene. So,
yeah, but what we were asking and what we were touching on, especially back in the early years, mainstream media was not going there. Sexual abuse of a child with possibly multiple players involved.
Right.
Where two or more people involved in sexual abuse is what you would categorize as a child sex ring, or to that nature. I mean, that's what we were putting out there.
Yeah, they didn't bust these dudes back then like they do now.
I mean, you mentioned child sex ring back then. People look at you like you were crazy.
Right. It was a big conspiracy, right? It would have been conspiracy.
But nowadays they call it human trafficking.
Right.
We still use the old term. Like it was that, Jim, it was right around, like it really switched when True Detective got so popular that like child sex rings became a thing and people started looking up old cases and stuff because the show became so popular.
Yeah, I mean, there certainly weren't forces back then that were busting these guys.
And speaking of which, True Detective season 1 was loosely based off of a true case in Louisiana.
Oh yeah, that was the LaMonica case, and it's very strange, is because the LaMonica case in 2005 was the case I was using to show Lou Smith and Ramsey private investigator Ollie Gray on what was going on in the town. And it's funny that True Detective wound up kind of loosely basing its story on the LaMonica case in Louisiana.
Interesting.
Yeah, but let's go back to Nancy. So it's for people who aren't aware of Nancy. It should have been a bigger story. It was written about locally, but once again, mainstream media did not touch it. You have somebody coming forward making child sexual abuse allegations against one of the best friends of John Ramsey, whose house this little girl was at. So me and my brother are, excited as all get out because our first goal has been met. That witness has been found. We just didn't find her. She wound up contacting an attorney in Boulder, and his name was Lee Hill. So we thought, all right, we're going to have to call this guy quick because all the stuff that we're learning about the town now we got to warn this attorney, whatever you do, don't bring her to the Boulder Police Department because there's something wrong there. So we had to call him, and it was a quick phone call. And it's that phone call, to this day, me and Lee Hill are friends, 24 years after that phone call. And it was pretty much went like this. Are you Lee Hill? Yeah, who's this? My name's Frank Zell. You representing that witness from California? Yeah. And I go, well, let me guess. Now I have worked these types of cases prior to Ramsey. So I already had a basic profile. So I just listed, I said, let me guess. She's got multiple personality disorder.
Colleen, you're good. We just got started.
She has injuries to her private areas. The abuse was ritualistic in nature. She's got multiple family members involved. And he was like, how do you know all this? And I'm like, that's for later. I said, whatever you do not bring her to the Boulder Police Department. And he's like, we just brought her there a few days ago. And then I said, Mr. Hill, two things are going to happen. One, they're not going to properly investigate Nancy's claims. And number two, if they can't discredit her, they're going to come after you. And that's how we left that phone call. And then I got to watch over the next 2 or 3 years, that attorney's life get torn apart until the point where he had to flee the country.
You're kidding.
I kid you not. Now, before Lee flees the country, now we're jumping in time to around 2003. The Boulder police have already ended their investigation into Nancy. It was a several-week investigation in 2000. They did nothing. Jim, tell the story about Lee being shocked about how the Boulder police handled Nancy's whereabouts.
Oh yeah, Lee was sheltering, trying to keep her sheltered, and because for what she was saying happened to her, especially what was going on in California, and they didn't want anybody to know her whereabouts because she came to Boulder and Lee was hiding her out, and basically the Boulder Police Department gets in contact with Nancy's family, tells her where she's at, what's going on, her location, and these are the people Nancy was fleeing from. And so Lee was like, "What the hell are you guys doing here?" It's like, you don't do that. It's like, you don't. I'm trying to keep her safe. She's fleeing from abusers, and you're telling the people who are possibly involved in her abuse where she is. So that's how the Boulder Police Department handled Nancy, and they.
Can you imagine that that's how the Boulder police started treating victims? Like they're outing where she is. Why are they doing that? What's the situation? What are you trying to hold? What, you're trying to intimidate her to stop talking? What do you know?
Yeah, exactly.
You fucking
Kind of like
know.
almost like a rubber ducky case.
They never said
you know?
Nancy.
Almost. I'm sorry. I hit that by accident. Go ahead.
I said kind of like almost a rubber ducky case. They're making a, they're just anybody that is speaking against.
Exactly. They would rather this lady get lit up than the actual perpetrators of the person who murdered JonBenet Ramsey or the ring of people that had to do with it. It's sickening.
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, they don't want her. Yeah,
Nancy was lying.
Breaking their silence,
what
basically.
Her abuse doesn't connect
Yep.
to the Ramsey's case, because Nancy's allegations and Nancy's claims, she sent people to jail in California for abuse.
Yeah, Mackie Boykin. And for those, the reason why her story connects, to us and to Lee, because when Lee was contacted, he went out there originally to California to interview her and her therapist. He came back to Boulder and he was saying, "Oh my goodness, she's a legit witness. She's got real information. She's got evidence connecting herself to the whites." And then next thing you know, he gets a phone call from Nancy and the therapist, and they're like, "Hey, we're getting threats out here. We're not waiting. We're on our way to you." And that's how it started. And so they came forward, and Lee brings them to the police.
You're awesome.
Of course, they notify, California authorities, which Lee asked them not to do because the family was looking for Nancy. The family was threatening Nancy and the therapist. So the Boulder police totally botched that.
Are they the ones that gave Nancy a deposition with her lawyer?
Oh yeah, I mean,
okay, because I've read her deposition online. You guys can read it if you search it up. Her deposition transcript is out there.
Oh,
and at first, remember, Fleet White Jr. said this lady is a crap out. There's no connection to her and our family until Nancy showed photographs of her mom, Gwen, who's the goddaughter of Fleet White Sr.,
which is his father.
Correct. And so and then he had to back off of that and said, "Oh yeah, we do know her."
Wow.
So
but it's the story that she told. Now this is where it may get a little gruesome for some people.
Yeah, trigger warning, guys.
Trigger warning.
This is this case, and when you're dealing with sex rings, this is the stuff that you gotta deal with, unfortunately. But her story is that she was being trained along with other kids to sexually please adults from the age of 3 on.
Ugh.
And this stuff went on her entire life. And the man who was considered the family trainer was Mackie Boykin. He was an expert in the garage.
What's his name?
Mackie Boykin.
Okay. Is he the one that went to jail?
Yeah, he's the one that eventually goes to jail for rape.
Oh my goodness.
Because Nancy was so somebody did the right thing in the school system because she was so messed up, so banged up that they knew something was terribly wrong, and then that led to the police being called, and Mackie was then was eventually charged, and I think he pled guilty to rape.
Gosh, poor Nancy.
The story is, it's a horrible story. And she talked about that they would have these parties around the holidays, and the garrote would be used, and if you didn't act according to how they wanted you to act, you were punished by being hit on the head.
Oh my God.
I mean, you see the parallels, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Right? I mean, I've never heard of a garrote being used before this case, and never since.
Well, I think we've.
That's a good point. I've in all the true crime cases that I've ever followed or brought light to, I've never heard of a garrote used other than I believe a serial killer.
Gacy. Yep.
Gacy. Thank you, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You're welcome.
Yep.
Discuss this on other podcasts. Once again, turn your volume down if you don't want to hear this type of stuff, because this is going to be
why they use it. Why they use it.
There's a reason. It's an execution device. That's what a garrote is. But for the
pedophile, we can
it's
see
a sexual
what are you trying
device.
to link then?
Because what you're doing is you're hitting that spot in the neck that controls breathing. So you can tighten it and loosen it. So you're allowing your victim to breathe, and then you're shutting off the supply. And what you're trying to do is put the, from the pedophile perspective, is put the victim in the sweet spot between life and death, where the body spasms.
Oh,
And to the pedophile, that in their heads, that is a sexual reaction to what they're doing. That's why they use it.
No,
but if you make a mistake,
horrific.
but if you make a mistake, you're going to kill your victim. So that's that. But Nancy's story, so that's, she's saying, hey, I had the garage used on me. It was around the holidays. People involved in my abuse, the allegations were Fleet White Sr. and Fleet White Jr. Fleet White Jr. obviously connects to John. It's whose house JonBenet was at, the night she died. So yeah, she had a good reason to come forward. And she also shared with the Boulder Police Department evidence of child pornography that was buried on her family's property.
Yes, I was just going to bring
What?
Yeah, that was some evidence that was given to the Boulder Police. Hey, all you got to do is go there. They got it buried.
God almighty.
And part of it, she was child pornography was made with her and other kids. They would have these parties with adults where these kids, Nancy included, would be pimped out to customers. And this stuff was being filmed, and they would keep the film on the property in these barrels. That's what Nancy said. It's on the property. So what does the Boulder Police do but notify them and give them a 10-day heads up that they're coming out? That make any sense?
None.
No. So like I said, so that's why she came forward, because of the parallels, that her allegations against the whites, her proof of knowing the whites.
And she was
That's why-
ridiculed, basically.
Well, online, it was very divisive. Now, once again, now we're in 2000. The Ramsey case is the granddaddy of true crime. That's what I've always called it, because the internet wasn't around. And at the time, by the time Nancy came forward, it's 2000. So you had, at this point, hundreds of message boards. You didn't have Twitter, so people created forums.
Mhm.
And on these forums, you would have people who would join, and they would leave posts, kind of like Twitter. And you could respond back and forth. And it became a big deal. There were some very popular forums. There were like dozens, if not hundreds of them. But the most popular ones then were, Justice Watch, Forums for Justice. Justice Watch being a very popular one. You had the people from the DA's office were members, cops.
Oh, wow.
It was bonkers. Now, we've always stayed away from that to the best of my ability. To the best of our ability, we tried to stay away. The first 4 years of this case, I didn't even have a computer. I worked it with just a phone.
Old school.
Yeah, old school. And then
about as old school as you can get.
and then if I needed to, I went to the library, to do research,
Yep.
or somebody that had a computer. And then once I got a computer in 2000, it became easier. But the Nancy case, to go back to Nancy, ended several weeks after a Boulder police quote unquote investigation, which pretty much consisted of them finding any way they could to discredit Nancy. They thought she was crazy. They were calling her a whack job behind the scenes. And when they ended it, they held a press conference. And it pretty much stated that the Nancy story, like my brother said, did not connect to the case, which I never understood, because if she had a connection to the case. But the abuse she says that took place in California should be investigated by other authorities, namely the FBI. That was the end of that was pretty much their statement when they ended the investigation.
And just as a side note, if people want to read a little more about Lee Hill and his time with the witness, there is an article by Westword written by Stephen Jackson called "The Accidental Jurist." It's a very, very good article.
ooh,
You'll
love
learn
to
more
read
about
that.
Lee and the witness
Oh,
in that article.
I just found it. I'll put the link in chat for everybody if you want to bookmark it.
This continues to be wild. I just wrote that down. I will find the link and also
The
link it in our
accidental
chat if anyone-
jurist. Yeah.
The accidental jurist. I'm going to go ahead and find it and linked it in our chat for everybody.
Yeah, extremely, extremely well written. The author's name is Stephen Jackson, if I remember. Great writer. But yeah, and that ended the Nancy part of the investigation. And the funny thing is that the day they held that press conference to end the part of that part of the investigation, Lee Hill calls me up in tears, crying.
Jay's the
Extremely
Walmart
upset.
greeter of the chat.
And
I mean, Jay,
it's tough for a
Hayes.
guy to listen to another man cry. It's
We
uncomfortable.
love you,
You
Hayes.
don't want to
Thank
hear it.
you.
And I was trying to calm him down. I'm like, geez, Lee, I'm like, what the hell happened at the press conference? I mean, I know it
Right.
ended,
Yeah.
but I mean, why are you so upset? And he's like, they threatened me. I'm like, what? And he's like, a member, I know who it was, but I'm not going to say the name, but a member of the Boulder Police Department took Lee Hill aside and said, now you're going to keep your mouth shut. And if you don't keep it shut, we're going to ruin you professionally and financially.
Yeah.
And that freaked him out so much. By the time he got home, he was in tears, and that's when he called me. And the funny thing is, that's exactly what happened to him.
No, you don't. We love
Is that when he left?
By the time it was said and done for Lee Hill, he was facing a year in jail look, Lee, I always called Lee a flawed hero. Nobody's perfect. He had problems, and he had some domestic issues, which of course, once the Boulder police knew it was him, it made it that much worse. He was arrested I think for one thing, he was caught with dangerous weapons. That was one of the charges.
Oh my
He had a
goodness.
knife collection. That was his own knife collection.
Wow.
It was in a case, but they saw it. It was anyway just to make things worse for him. He got himself into a little trouble. They exasperated to make it.
Sure.
And when it was all said and done with the misdemeanor charges, he was facing a year. And then he calls me up. He's like, I'm out.
Yeah, of course that's what they're going to do. They're going to find anything to discredit him, right? So that when he comes out, they have some leverage against him to be like, shut up and just stop it, right? Because this is what it seems like the theme with these people.
I'm done. He goes, I'm sending you some documents. I'm going to send some other people some stuff. And he goes, I'll touch base with you when I'm in Asia. And that's where he fled to, Asia. And, I waited. Yeah, I waited and I get a package, and that's from Lee. And I got some Nancy documents. One is a psych report from her case in California with Maggie Boykin, how a psychiatrist interviewed her, saying, oh yeah, she's sane. She doesn't have a mental disorder. And as a matter of fact, later on down the line, she's going to recall even more information. So the psychiatrist back then. But there was one thing I got, and it was a poem. And I'm like, what the hell is this?
Mm-hmm.
And eventually Lee Hill reached out to me, and I said, Lee, I got this poem here. And he's like, oh yeah, man. He goes, I received a couple of those. He goes, I think they got something to do with the murder. He goes, try to get that into the right hands. And, he goes, I'll be in touch down the line. So I'm looking at it. The poem doesn't have a name, but it mentions the names of 3 individuals. And it's extremely well written. I don't know if you want to bring that poem up for your viewers.
Yeah, did you email it to me?
I sent it
Oh,
to
you sent it on X. That's right. Okay. I was looking at my email. Yeah, I'll pull it up right now. Go ahead and keep going.
It's in your DMs. So, I mean, we could wait, till you pull it up.
Yeah.
There were actually 2 poems, but, we're going to deal with the one that I received.
The entire 3 men?
That's the one.
Okay.
I kind of gave it the name, the 3 Men poem, because, it mentions 3 men at the end.
All right, let me pull it up here. This is Mr. Frank Z on Twitter, or on X, rather. Let's see if I can't make it bigger. You want to read it?
Oh, that's as big as it gets, huh?
No, I've got.
Oh, okay.
Is that better?
Oh, that's awesome.
Okay,
man.
cool.
So I gave a little recap on my Twitter post saying that a Boulder attorney received 2 anonymous poems in the mail. In 2003, as the Boulder attorney prepared to leave the country, he sends one poem to me, the 3 Men poem, and the other poem to author Stephen Singular, which was The Manchurian Doll. Also in 2003, okay, yeah, so we'll get to the Lou Smith thing. I called somebody in Colorado after I talked to Lee, and I'm reading them the poem, and they're like, wow, that's an interesting poem. Do you mind if I share this with somebody? If I tell people about this poem? I'm like, yeah, I don't care. I didn't expect to, to hear anything back. And then a couple of days later, my phone rings. I pick up the phone. I'm like, hello. And he's like, I hear this nice old, this nice older guy go, hi, I'm Lou Smith.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, hey, Lou. He goes, I hear you have a poem. So, I read him the poem. And it was his interest in the poem. He actually pleaded with me for a copy of it. And that's when I knew I had something. That's when I knew that this went from something interesting. This isn't somebody crazy. But, the internet's full of crazy people. This could have been somebody who wrote a nice poem, threw 3 people's names in there, and that's the killer. I didn't know. But when Lou took it seriously, that's when I knew we had something. So
I bet.
So this is the poem. It's a 3 Men poem. And just go back down a little bit. Yeah, because this is how it starts right here. Perfect. So this is not the author of the original poem. Recidivism is my only concern. You are the only one who has a copy of this. Please respect my anonymity. People who abuse children are terrorists too. In the spirit of Crazy Horse, it's all connected.
They are.
Do you want me to continue to read it?
Yeah,
Sure.
absolutely.
Okay. In his copy reverie, the truth the 3 would carry to the steps of the authority to boast of their pernicious spree. But he did not know that I could see, and therefore was not wary. For hidden in the rectory, protected by the church decree, he delved in child pornography while elders professed not to see. His sister told him it could be. He killed the child, and honestly, his secret would not bury. Now that based on true events is something added by me.
Get to it a little bit later.
Yeah, we'll explain, but pretty much these standards were proven true. True events.
From
They
the
did not
church?
know we changed. Yeah, well, it doesn't mention the name of a church. It just says it just hints to that this is something that happened at a church. They did not know we changed the key when police would come to query, so they broke and entered quietly, though he would claim illicitly. And so avoiding calumny, a grand sum he was paid to flee, and so it was conveniently their questions he would parry, based on true events. To solve a tale of misconstrued, just look into the Offman's pew. You'll find there in Fort Lumpton Slough, stray cats aplenty, skinned a few. On prying stoops their hides did strew, and cat's blood will scare daughters too, based on true events. While bushes hid their sins from view, Richard held the cue. Okay, this particular stanza that I just read, when it says, look into the Offman's pew, so start there. On prying stoops their hides did strew. Now, there were 3 events that happened to police officers early on in the Ramsey case. Detective Steve Thomas, considered, one of the lead detectives. Linda Arndt, who was there when the body was found. And Bob Whitson, who took control of the scene in the afternoon. Whitson's story, what happened to Whitson is not hinted to in the poem, but what happened to Thomas and Linda Arndt is. Right after they got put on the case, a cat that was mutilated, which was pretty much turned inside out, was thrown on his porch.
What?
Oh yeah, that's what that refers to. What says stray cats are plenty, skinned a few.
Yeah.
On prying stoops their hides did strew. That refers to what happened to Steve Thomas. And cat's blood will scare daughters too, because Linda Arndt had cat blood thrown all over her front door.
And that was the officer that was there during the day that had no control over the scene. There were so many people, right?
Correct.
Okay.
So that's what's happening.
Wow.
To Thomas and Arndt. I think actually Thomas writes about it in his book. So now Bob Whitson, he got it the worst. He had bullets fired into his home. No investigation done by the Boulder Police Department of a member of their own force fired upon in their home, to the point where he came out of his home with his weapon drawn.
Amy, pause it.
I was just going to, yes, speak on it, girl.
So the answer is Jesus fucking Christ. To answer Freddie's question, I don't know if they came out with who did it, but they definitely know who did it.
Right. It's not public knowledge, but Frank
Correct.
and Jim definitely do know who sent it. Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
The person only admitted to one, not the other. But yes.
Right. And this is basically them trying to riddle their or poem their way into giving them cryptic or non-cryptic information regarding because in the person, it seems to me, the person in the writing the poems,
You already know.
the ones that do know what's going on, but likely it seems like all of these people were so intimidated, they're witnesses, they're whistleblowers, and Boulder knew them or found out their names, or they knew them because they were there and knew who these people would be, right? And they intimidated them into silence, right? Nikki is
Frank,
correct, says Frank. Frank,
I'm always right, Frank. Just
Nikki's always right. I mean,
always
even when I
fucking right.
Yeah, I've pushed back on Nikki trying to tell me shit, and I've been like, but no, bitch is right all the time.
All
bitch
the
is right.
time. I let it fester until people figure it out for themselves. I hang back, and when the ball drops, I'm like, well, I don't want to be the one, but I told you so.
And then I reach out to this bitch. I'm like, Nikki, you were right. Okay. Every fucking time, girl.
Mm-hmm.
Did we rule out Frank as the author? Frank received these emails. This was not Frank. Frank received these emails because said person knew that he was investigating the case like the authorities were not. The authorities were trying to cover up whatever was going on, and Jim and Frank did the we know. So
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
why. Yeah.
Yeah. No, Frank's
What is
definitely
this?
not the author.
No, he's not that.
And he's definitely not that smart. I love you.
Oh, he's self-deprecating. I love that about people. I am too, Frank. Okay. Let's keep going a little bit, get some more information. One moment.
His own department never did an investigation. What department does that?
Sounds like a
And who the
department
hell is-
that's owned by the elite there in that town.
Now, it's a lot of people don't know this. Some people do. A lot of people don't. I knew it when it first happened, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, they're going after the cops." And this is now people find it. Oh, that's unbelievable. It's not really. If people follow the Epstein saga, Jeffrey Epstein, the editor of Vanity Fair conducted an interview with Jeffrey Epstein that, before all his troubles really went crazy, and they were putting stuff in the article that they were writing about sexual abuse. Jeffrey Epstein took offense and called the editor. And the editor tells this story. It's been written about. You can look it up for yourself. He said that he told Epstein, "No, I'm not taking anything out." Epstein said, "Okay, that's fine." And then one day he went home and he found a severed cat's head on his doorstep next to a single bullet.
Good God.
He has no doubt that that was Jeffrey Epstein. So
Wow.
it's obvious that somebody in the community was targeting or trying to intimidate the Boulder Police Department or members of it, Whitson getting it the worst. But the fact that the department did no investigation into a shooting of an officer's home is mind-boggling. No department would act like that. Okay, so we continue. The child must die, he did decide. The crime arranged, the ritual applied. With church at stake and family pride, 3 men he chose to enter. Though 2 decried this church ally, their testimony was denied. With ties that run both deep and wide, no one could defend her. Now some have gone and some have stayed. Class defined the roles they played. Someday you'll know the masquerade of Zach, the great pretender. The 3 men, Mervyn Pugh, husband of Linda Hoffman Pugh. Blank, member of St. John's Episcopal Church. John Rossi, I only know his name. Zach set it up, Dick called the FBI. There are people involved with far more power than Fleet. End of poem. So it went from being this, what is this poem, to Lou begging me for it. And that's when I knew that those 3 names were important to look. Everybody knows, if you follow the case, who Mervyn is. The blank name that we can't mention, I had vaguely remembered it, but not many people know it. Hardly anybody. Well, at the time, yeah. And then John Rossi, well, nobody knew. It took us years to find out about him. And then the other poem was the Manchurian Doll poem. I don't know if you want to bring that up.
Yeah, hold on. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, take your time.
So this Zach set it up. Dick called the FBI. Is there any more clarity on that?
I wish we could get more clarity, but we've only proven. I'm not going to I don't like to speculate. The only reason I can put based on true events is because we found further corroboration that matched those standards from other individuals. So
yeah, I guess, Frank, you have to kind of lead into, when you got the poems, and you're probably going to have to go into miles at this point.
Well, yeah, I mean, do you want me to read the other poem first? Do I need, what do you want me to?
Which poem? I'm trying to find it. You sent me 3 things here.
Yeah, it's called the Manchurian Doll.
I think you sent me the 3 men poem twice, and then I have DNA in Doubt, flashback 2016.
Yeah, well, that's if we were going to talk about the DNA. Oh, you know what? I did. I sent it to you.
You sent me.
Sorry,
No, it's okay.
Okay, so I just want to preface this a little bit for anyone who didn't see the conversation I had with Frank. He did send me these. He had gone over them a little bit. These are poems that he was sent by people that were in the know of what was going on in Boulder and the things that may or may not have happened to JonBenet. That's not something that I know, but it may be something that Frank knows. But Frank has a lot of integrity, and he knows what to say
I missed
to
what
not
you said.
say.
What did you say?
Oh, my bad.
you're good.
These are the poems that Frank and Jim were sent by people who were there, whether they be victims, people who are in the know, maybe not there, but they just know what happened. And they are poems to give information about how Boulder works and what may or may not have happened to JonBenet Ramsey.
Correct. Yeah.
Right. And others, right? So let's keep
Yes.
going.
You sent me the 3 men twice. That's all.
Yeah, let me just quickly.
Have you guys?
My brother is. Go ahead.
Oh, it's okay. I was just going to ask everybody if they've hit the like button yet tonight. Go ahead, Jim. I didn't mean to cut you off.
And that's fine. And as this is going on, and as we're, as my brother receives these poems, and Lou Smith is, pleading with him for copies of this, we're continuing on the other side, digging up more information regarding Boulder itself. So not only do you have these poems, but we're finding more cases that just show what was happening.
Hi, Mama.
In Boulder for decades. And, they start off with, there are several cases you can look at, from David Slusher in the 70s, who was, pretty much a prolific pedophile who was molesting, who pretty much approached entire children at Boy Scout troops. His information was released during the Boy Scout scandal. And when we were looking at some of that, we figured we'd find somebody involved with Boulder. That's how we came across David Slusher. He was a prolific pedophile in Boulder, a child pornographer. And when we had received the affidavits on his case, some of the evidence, what's written in the affidavit, it would say something to the effect of this, that he approached so many children in the Boy Scout troops, so many lives were affected. There were so many kids that were abused that, we couldn't investigate them all, which is strange in and of itself. Those were from the detective notes, that there were so many kids involved that they couldn't investigate them all. But what we found was, in some instances, in some of the abuse cases by David Slusher, the parents were actually involved in promoting the relationship with David Slusher. In other words, pimping out their kids. Mm-hmm. And what you see in Boulder is that type of behavior.
Sick.
Over and over of parental involvement, of giving over of children to pedophiles. And they could have put away Slusher for years and years and years, but they didn't. That's the thing. That guy got light sentencing. People came forward in Boulder. You had professors from the college, other attorneys come forward saying, "Oh no, this guy shouldn't get any jail time at all. He's a great guy." He was not a great guy, and he got light sentences and plea deals, which was rampant in Boulder. What you would see more and more as the cases that we were uncovering were these crazy plea deals that were given in child abuse cases and sex abuse cases. That Slusher got off over and over again. He got minimal jail time. He'd be re-released, and then he would offend again, go back to jail, re-released, get offend again, over and over again. You would see this pattern in Boulder. So the David Slusher case was one. There's another case called the Bruce Downsboro case. Bruce Downsboro was arrested in, I think it was 2013 in Tennessee, and he was involved in something called Operation Spade, where they were investigating a company called Azov Films. It was a Canadian company, and what they were doing was they were distributing child torture pornography.
Oh my God!
And he was caught up in that. Another guy who was arrested in that was the U.S. Senator Lamar Alexander's chief of staff. His name was Jesse Ryan Larskin. But Larskin killed himself when he was out on bail.
Wow.
But anyway, the owner of Azov
You guys
Films,
are blowing my mind.
The owner
it's a lot worse.
The owner of Azov Films was arrested, and it was like 350 people were arrested worldwide. 400 children were rescued in the operation. Downsboro, but he had like 20,000 images of child pornography on his computer, and toddlers forced in all types of sex acts. But here's the thing: he was arrested in Tennessee, but Downsboro lived in Boulder in 1986. He worked for the university there. He was a lawyer, and he practiced law actually until 1986. And he actually molested 2 boys in Boulder, and he was guilty of sexual assault on a child and sexual assault in the 3rd degree. And what was the result of his offense in Boulder? No jail time, nothing. And he said that he committed other crimes that he got away with.
He bragged to the Tennessee investigators that he got away with molesting other kids that he never got caught for.
Oh my God.
Can you imagine bragging about abusing? There was upwards of 200, if I just heard correctly, and he got off scot-free. They moved him around. He was arrested in Tennessee, but he is connected to the Boulder sex rings, right?
Right. Slaps on the wrist, basically.
Slap on a wrist. Yeah.
Disgusting. Isn't that disgusting?
God.
Yeah. And an interesting thing about Downsboro, John Ramsey, Access Graphics was a subsidiary of Lockheed Martin. right? And in the 90s, Lockheed Martin was the United States #1 defense contractor.
Yeah.
Right. In
Nick,
1986,
let me know when you
the
want me
#1
to
defense contractor was
pause.
HRB Singer. And the president of the company in 1986 was George Downsborough, Bruce's father.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so,
Maybe that's why he didn't go to jail.
Wow. I
So-
think this is truly a case where they say there's tentacles. There are tentacles.
This may be a point. This may be a point since we've made the switch to cases that we stick with the cases because we can go back to the poems because this is something that I want to touch on.
Okay.
The Netflix documentary, vilifies the cops, but the DA's office doesn't take really any heat. The DA's office is a major culprit in this case. They're a major villain. Hunter, Mary Keenan, who was his right hand woman. They created a culture in Boulder with absolute ridiculous plea bargains in horrific pedophile cases. Some resulting in minimal jail time, some resulting in no jail time. And we'll get to stories about pedophiles that were just protected, even from arrest.
So this was the same DA throughout this whole mess that refused, even after the grand jury indictment, refused to prosecute and go forward.
Yeah, and the next case we're going to touch on is going to give you an example. Look, Hunter was a compromised guy. He was elected to office, I think, in 72 or 74. He ran on being tough on crime and then switched positions and took this ultra-liberal stance on just being soft on crime, including pedophiles. And he created this culture in Boulder. People don't understand. I mean, you speak to FBI agents who have done this type of work, they'll tell you pedophiles communicate with each other. Before the internet, they used to communicate with each other through what were those ads?
Like magazines. Yeah, I did a deep dive on that where I found the boys' camps back in the 70s that like Joe Namath had a boys' camp and there was allegations of abuse, but nothing ever happened to it. A, the boys were scared. B, nothing happened.
But pedophiles would communicate through ads about how to meet up. Because it's what they're doing is taboo. It's part of the pathology. They cannot help but to share because of the nature of what they're doing. It's in the pathology. That's why that saying exists. Birds of a feather flock together. And Boulder became this place for pedophiles where, if you were a pedophile, you're like, this is great. We can do pretty much whatever we want here.
Yeah.
And if we get caught, nothing really bad is going to happen. Maybe we'll do some small jail time. And maybe we don't go to jail at all. So what pedophile wouldn't want to live there? And at the time of the murder of JonBenet Ramsey, you could go into the center of town in Boulder, throw a rock in the air, and most likely that rock was going to hit a pedophile. That's how bad it was. There were pedophiles everywhere. City officials, multiple churches, St. John's, St. Thomas, First Baptist, at the college. It had thoroughly taken over. It had thoroughly embedded itself, the pedophilia, in institutions.
And Frank, I think at this point, it would be a good time to bring up the attorney. This is an example of how rampant it was in Boulder, how people just turned a blind eye to it, how the police were even aware of some of what was going on and just didn't turn a blind eye to what was going on. And it was a certain attorney that in Boulder that was holding sex parties.
Oh yeah. So
Jesus.
how I got this person's name, I'll jump into that later when we start discussing the poems again. This person said, yeah, you should look into this attorney, talk to so-and-so. He used to go to the parties when he was underage. So I got one name. And then talking to one person, I get two more names. So now I'm at 3. Then now I'm up to 7 names, 9, 15, 20. Now I got 30 names I'm up to with this.
That's
attorney.
true, Ander.
Positive.
And they're telling me, oh yeah, this attorney, he held sex parties in his house on the regular.
Got you.
So, Ander, yes, the majority, not everybody, obviously, but there was many of them in the same church as the Ramseys. Kind of a theme, if you will, like an underground theme. But, a lot of the people knew a lot. Let's just say that. So, yeah. And by the way, Amy is tall. She's a tall bitch.
Yeah, I'm 5'8".
Yeah.
I'm a tall girl.
Yeah, she's
Mhm.
not allowed to wear
And you
heels
wonder
around
why
me.
my son is 5 years old at 5'3".
Yeah, baby Gronk.
Baby Gronk is My son's 5 and he's 4'3". He's going to be his pediatrician says he's going to be somewhere between 6'4" and 6'6".
Well, Frank's being funny. He's singing the Fraggle Rock song.
I love Fraggle Rock. Are we in
Me
the
too.
same genre? I love Fraggle Rock.
No, Frank's old. He's not in the same drama.
I mean, but still,
genre.
I mean, if he knows Fraggle Rock, he's my type of man. All right.
Yep. Yeah, Fraggle Rock was my favorite show.
Yes, I still remember the
watched it
song.
regularly.
I'll spare you my singing. Yeah.
Yeah. Let the music play. Where we saw another day.
Yeah. Oh my God, Nikki, this is why you're my girl. All right. Yeah. So does anyone have any questions thus far? As you can see, we have Frank Zell in our chat today. So if there's anything that's said that's not clarified and you want to ask a question, you can ask it in the chat and I can star it and maybe we can ask Frank the questions next time he's here, or if he's able to pop in later after we go through some of this and he can answer some questions that are unclear for you. Maybe we'll see, but I would love to have Frank Zell up here again. So we'll mark those. Let's keep going just a little bit more and get a little more information and then we'll talk on it.
Yeah, Frank's just driving, so
yeah,
he told us kind of just to listen, and if we wanted him to pop on, he could.
Yeah, absolutely. Frank's a busy guy, and anytime
well,
he
not
wants
busy, but he's not busy today. So this is why if you want him up today, would be like the best because he's just driving all day.
Oh, cool. Okay, yeah. So why don't we get through some stuff? And if you guys have any specific questions about what we're listening to and what we're hearing, if you want maybe further clarification, if he can clarify what you don't understand about the things that we're hearing, I'll mark those questions and I'll send Frank a link and he can come up and give us all of his knowledge, because this man is a wealth of knowledge. If you want to listen to anybody with all the information regarding this case of what has and not happened, not happened meaning by the authorities that were supposed to help find her killer, he is the man to talk to. Him and his brother Jim. I don't want to leave out Jim because I've been leaving out Jim. Him and Jim are the experts on this, in my opinion.
Nobody Jim in a corner.
Yeah, nobody puts Jim in a corner, and I put Jim in a corner, and I apologize. I just spoke to Frank, so he's on my mind. Yes. Oh, where's Amber KR? Oh, hi, Amber. Yes, good to see you. And Frank always does join us. He's like the most great. Listen, I've said it once. I'll say it again. I'll say it a million times. We need more Franks in the world that do the best thing. For he's not a YouTuber. He's not one of those things. He did this out of the kindness of his heart, him and his brother, to unravel what happened to that little girl because no one else.
So Frank said it perfectly. I can't remember when he said it. We were discussing the case, obviously. But he said because like I have shit in my past that has happened to me, whatever. Yeah. So we were just discussing it, and I said I do love people who get karma. To me, it's good karma for them because it's bad karma for them. You know what I mean? And he said it perfectly. He goes, well, and I feel the same way. I have a thirst for retribution. And I was like, oh my God, that is a perfect way to say it. Because I love when people get what's coming to them.
Yes.
It's like a thing for me.
Absolutely. It's kind of like, any other case that, like, I'm not to change the case, but like even Richard Allen, like if Richard Allen does it, regardless of whether he got he's in jail with the injustice that he served for, like if he's not the person, it's not about like, he should be out. And then we should get justice for Libby Abbey, for the real person that's still roaming this earth. If someone else did that to her, they deserve justice. And I like to see justice for bad people and whatever that looks like, right? Whatever that looks like. Oh, hey Amber, it's good to see you, baby. I was just watching your live from last night because I fell asleep, but you are incredible, girlfriend. All right. And we have Jay from Hull. We have a celebrity, Amber. Yes. Yeah, she's in here. ATS News. Go over and sub to her. All right, let's go back to this. Remember, if you guys have any questions, mark them in the chat and I will star them for maybe when Frank comes up here, he can answer the questions that you guys have as we're going along.
Almost weekly with men from Denver, men from Boulder, and it was orgies with underage kids. And they're all telling the same story. Now, I got 10 that were willing to cooperate. I eventually tracked down the attorney and I find a picture. So I said, okay, let me just send out a photo ID to all 10 individuals. So I sent multiple pictures. I'm like, all right, see if you can pick out the guy. They all picked them out. They all told me the same story or a similar version about the sex parties, about where he kept his poppers, under his bed, where the child pornography was kept in his house, the car he drove. It all matched. And I still got, that's 10 that would cooperate, and I still got 20 other additional names. And one of the kids, he said something to me, and it kind of caught me off guard. He was like, Frank, he goes, you make this sound like he was doing this like on the down low. Because I'm so used to investigating people who do this, they try to hide what they're doing. And he goes, that's not what this guy was doing. He goes, if this guy could have a neon sign on top of his house saying sex with kids here, he would have it. He goes, everybody in town knew. Everybody. And I was like, well, I said, well, how many kids are we talking about here? And he was like, geez, he goes, I wasn't even at every party. And he goes, and this took place over years. He was like, he goes, of different kids I saw, he goes, maybe 100. And I think he settled on the amount of men that were involved, somewhere around 20. He goes, but there were probably more. So at this point, I'm like, wow, I said, I can't, I'm working at UPS, I'm doing this. And I'm like, I need help here. So now, because of the poem, I'm in touch with Lou. So this is 3 years. So this is around 2006. So I call Lou up and I'm like, hey, Lou, man, something's terribly wrong here. I said, I got witnesses lined up that are willing to give affidavits about this guy who was throwing sex parties from the late 70s right up until the time of the murder. And then right when the murder happens, this attorney has a total change in personality.
Nikki, send me your email on chat.
Upset.
No, not this chat.
And then
chat.
Closes his attorney practice and leaves the state. He runs. I'm like, Lou, here you go, man. And we're talking about other adults. I'm like, let's go. And that's when, this is the only time I ever raised my voice to Lou Smith, because Lou Smith was an awesome guy. Tremendous. He said, Frank, you need to walk away from what you're doing. And I was like, what? He goes, you need to forget about this. I'm like, Lou, but you were a cop. And I just started flipping out on him. And he let me rant for a while. And he was like, Frank, calm down. He goes, the reason why I'm telling you to do this is because the Boulder Police Department knew about him the entire time he was doing it and did nothing to stop him.
Gosh.
Isn't that
before
disgusting?
Then, whenever I talk bad about the Boulder Police, he would always defend them. Well, they're doing the best they can do. They're giving it the old college try, the typical blue response.
They're giving it the old college try.
Yep. Isn't that disgusting, though?
Nick,
The people that you are supposed to trust to protect and serve aren't always that for the public.
No. And the more and more we're seeing it, the more and more it's like, these people give a bad name to the ones who do want to do the right thing. And I noticed in this case that the ones who did want to do the right thing were absolutely railroaded, told not to do it, or got fired.
They were also threatened.
Threatened?
That's the thing. They were, the one cop, God, he's gonna kill me. I can't remember her name. Anyways, the female cop, but yeah, like with the poems and the cat's blood and stuff, like these people were harassed and basically silenced due to threats, basically scared, to ever say anything. You know what I mean? And like that librarian that said, bad things happen to our kids that we don't like to talk about. Like, come on.
Yeah. Right. And I have a hard stop on child abuse, like intimidate you all we want. I'm squealing. I'm telling everybody, come at me. Hey, Nick, can you send me your email address? Because I just made you a member. Oh, you did? On where?
in the
Text.
studio chat.
Oh, thank you, baby. All right.
Yep.
After I mentioned this name, that whole tune changed with Lou. Then he threw them all under the bus, accused them of protecting a pedophile.
Wow.
In this attorney.
Linda
And then he
Arndt.
went on and he
Yes,
said,
thank you, Frank.
and I couldn't believe. I mean, I said, Lou, I knew that the police were bad. I said, but this bad? And he's like, Frank, he goes, everybody knew about what this guy was doing. They didn't act. They let him get away with it. And I was just stunned. And then Lou continued and he said, Boulder is the most evil town I ever encountered. I actually hate driving there because I can feel the evil as soon as I enter the town. Quote, Lou Smith.
Wow.
Now that's not anything you're going to see in any, Netflix special with Lou, where he talked about the intruder theory. And it wasn't just, that Lou knew about him, and he knew the Boulder police knew about him. Ollie knew, Ollie Gray, Ramsey private investigator. And at least how many other cops told us, Jim?
Oh, as we looked into other cases and other stories, I would always bring up multiple police officers. And even when we talked about other cases, I would always mention, by the way, have you ever heard of this guy's name, this attorney? And when I told them the name, they would laugh.
Wow.
They would laugh. And it's just like, you got to be kidding me. I mean, they all knew.
I talked to one Boulder commander, which was extremely rare. And that individual called me out of the blue. I did not expect the call. And that individual, that commander, first thing I said was, you know this attorney's name? And he laughed. And he said, everybody knew. He admitted it. This is what we're talking about. We were introduced to Boulder in this case, December 26, 1996. And everybody thought that was the beginning of the story. It wasn't. Because of everything going on, it was like we opened the book and you're halfway through. Me and my brother were one of the ones saying, hey, maybe we should read the earlier chapters. Find out what was going on in Boulder, because this is the stuff that was going on. And you begin to wonder maybe why this case isn't really solved.
I mean, Ollie Gray, the former investigator for the Ramseys, it didn't take him long that when he came on board, he was kind of like he was kind of in charge of, in case the case went to trial, he was going to dig up dirt on people in Boulder. That was kind of his role for the Ramseys. But, he even said that there were 4 active child pornography rings happening at the time of her death.
Oh my goodness.
Ugh.
And here's another good story. A journalist had this attorney's name years before we did, and contacted that pedophile attorney. I eventually contacted him as well, but that's a separate story. But the pedophile attorney, he didn't break a sweat. He told that journalist, forget about me. Why don't you focus on the 2 major child pornographers going on in town? Focus on them 2.
So did Lou pursue this avenue or attempt to, or
no?
Never.
He told me remember, Lou was brought on to solve the murder of JonBenet Ramsey.
Right. He was brought out of retirement back, but he was a cop in Colorado Springs, and then he was brought out of retirement at the request of Boulder authorities. Was that just based on his track record?
Yeah, because he was a great homicide investigator.
Okay.
He was known for solving difficult homicides, cold cases. So they brought him on, and Lou quit because he said the parents didn't do it, which I believed. Now, Lou's intruder theory, I don't know what Lou really believed, to be honest with you. Lou's nickname was the Fox. He was clever. Lou was not brought on to solve the town of Boulder's pedophile problem. He was brought on to solve with that pedophile attorney. That wasn't his job to chase. And this is years after he left the case. He doesn't really have the means to interrogate this person. This was up to the Boulder authorities to do it. Everybody knew. The cops knew. District attorney's office knew. They let it happen. They knew what he was doing. Everybody in the town knew it. It was like an open secret. So this is what we're telling people about. You got to have context.
So he's telling you guys to walk away from this shit.
In other words, he's saying, hey, look, nobody's going to do anything about it. Nobody. So you might as well just stop because you're not going to get any help. And he was right. This guy, he was a popular person in town. Friends in the DA's office. Obviously the cops knew. I think Colorado Bureau of Investigation knew about him. Nothing was done. He was protected on high by the Prince of freaking Darkness, this guy. Can't explain it. other than sometimes you have people who are protected. He was one of the protected ones in the town. He could do whatever he wanted. But when the Ramsey case happened, something changed in this guy and he panicked. So that's the story of the pedophile attorney. But this just goes to show is, and I can't stress it enough. You have to have context to cases.
Well, now I see where it could be frustrating for people to say, well, who did it then? Just tell me who did it. You can't exactly say who did it. And that's the question you can't answer.
Well, eventually, like I said, eventually, you have to figure out, two questions. One question answers the other. What was going on in the town before the murder of JonBenet Ramsey? And did it play a role in her death? Question one. And is what was going on in the town also the reason why this case is still unsolved? Question number two. Only after those two questions are addressed can you ask who did it. Until you understand it, until you know about it, asking who's going to mean nothing. They're just going to have you running in circles. Oh, John did it. Patsy did it. Burke did it. Helgoth did it. Aliva did it. John Mark Carr did it. They got everybody, the public totally divided and not looking at where you should be looking, which was what was going on in the town.
And they still do, because now they have everybody hanging on this DNA. And you have John Ramsey coming out before this series saying, do your job, Boulder PD, and test that DNA. It's like this DNA, is it a red herring? Do they even have it at this point? Like what is going on?
Okay, look, people have to understand, unless you were following this case from the beginning, you do not understand the case and the little nuances of it. This has been a PR war from the beginning. You had the district attorney's office pissed off at the cops, and you had the cops pissed off at the district attorney's office. So the two main players, so let's say you got three groups: district attorney, Boulder PD, Ramsey's, right? Mm-hmm. The two institutions trying to solve this murder are at odds with each other. The cops, look, it's not like, did the cops do things incorrectly? Sure. Let's take the Netflix documentary. That was a pro-Ramsey documentary. Again, me and my brother do not think John or Patsy killed their child. We do not believe that. But we believe that one or both parents were involved in something that led to her death. Why can we say that? Because the grand jury only agrees with one theory, and that's us. Nobody else. And they skimmed over things in the documentary. Oh yeah, the Boulder police, the crime scene was a mess. Well, who did it? Well, who made it a mess? This is why I don't like the word inept and botched, because decisions were made. Why didn't they mention Linda Arndt in the Netflix special, calling her superiors for help? Because the crime scene, she couldn't control it. She knew it.
Yeah, she said her calls went unanswered. No one showed up. No one showed.
They went answered. She was told, we're in a meeting. She made 3 to 4 calls. Same response. By doing that, that was deliberate, in our opinion, because everybody in that house is cleaning, moving things. Aren't new, and aren't used to work sex crimes. So she's watching the behaviors of everybody in that house, and nothing's adding up to her. It seems off. She requests backup to help try to control the situation. She is denied it. It is that denial which led to the scene being totally contaminated.
Much better. Sorry.
John Ramsey being first and foremost, he finds the body, he destroys it. He touches it, he brings the body upstairs. So all that evidence in that room is destroyed. How come the documentary doesn't mention Fleet White looking in there first? Pretty strange, right? He looked in there first, and his excuse was,
see if you can pull
I
up
couldn't find the light, so I didn't see the body and shut the door. Oh, that's a great way to put your handprint on the door, though.
But then John goes in there after him.
And John kind of throws, I think, in the documentary, Fleet under the bus and says, hey, I saw the body immediately. Well, why didn't Fleet? Please. Yeah. So it's not like the Ramseys, the Boulder police had no right to look at the. What are you talking about? 90% of these cases, a family member did it. You're supposed to look at the family first. That's how the cops have to do it. We did it another way because we just knew that the whole thing got screwed up. So doing it that way wasn't the way to go.
Right.
We were right.
Usually they start with the family. The inner circle is cleared first. Then they move out. Yeah.
The body's in the home. The ransom note written on a pad belongs to the family. Pen belongs to the family. Paintbrush belongs.
I just want to put this out there, right? Yeah, you can do it. Yay. Welcome
Yay.
in, admin.
It was
Admin.
skipping because I had two. I think I had two open, and it was just not connecting. Great.
Yeah, I couldn't get the other one off. My apologies. I didn't want to interrupt.
No,
but
I
thank
closed
God.
everything out. Yep.
Oh, I just wanted to put this out there too. It's like you do, obviously, you're going to suspect the people in the family, and they ran with that. Well, there's been a suspicion over John and Patsy, and mainly Burke, right? Burke has been the one that's like, he did it and everything, and it was so perfectly set up. Obviously, they're going to do that. Obviously, they're going to do that, but there's so much more to that. My thing is that with the Ramseys, um, the federal panel, they were going to bring him up on charges of putting their daughter in a neglectful situation. Like they kind of fed the child. What would the situation that the government was going to bring them up on those situations? That's a question I want to know.
Yeah.
I don't think they had anything to do with the direct unaliving, and I don't think Burke did it anymore, which I used to side high him, and I feel bad for that because I didn't hear this information.
Well, he was 9 too. Like
he was 9.
Well,
but, I mean, in all fairness, though, we've seen 9-year-olds, complete. They kill all their family, right? So, I mean, it's not that far fetched that a 9-year-old would do it, but I didn't realize the condition of her body was so bad either, right?
Yeah.
But even though I don't believe that they had anything to do with the actual unaliving, there's something there that has not come out. What was the situation? Why did they want to do that?
Right. I mean, well, that's with the grand jury. That's why they had both the charges that they did have. You know what I mean?
Right.
They had the exact same charges.
Right.
One was putting their kid in a situation where she can get hurt, their child, and the other one was to help putting a child in a situation where she could be harmed, which is a felony child abuse charge.
Oh yeah.
And then another one was aiding and abetting the killer in getting away.
Right. Oh, we have a comment from Frank. Well, the big question, that's a big question, isn't it? What was the situation that the parents put the child in? Exactly. What was that situation? Because you're not going to tell me it's pageants, because there's tons of parents that put their parents in pageants. Mike, I danced at a very young age, and I was in, small clothing, and they kind of sexualized dances very young and things like that. Like, I don't consider that necessarily. I mean, it's questionable because of a number of reasons as I've gotten older.
No, I think the evidence was bigger. I think the evidence pointed to the fact that they basically put her in a situation with a pedo.
Yeah. I mean that, but it's speculation. Why? Okay, so this is something I didn't ask Frank before. So were they actually charged with it and acquitted from that, or did nothing ever come of it?
This is when that should be a question you should hold for later, so then Frank can come up and.
Yeah, Frank, mark that. I need to write this down before I forget.
Write that down, because you'll forget. I'll forget.
Yeah, I will. I'll forget it.
We're professionals, but
I took my meds today, so maybe I won't. I'm writing this down still, though. All right. All right.
If a stranger offers you, what did he say? If a stranger offers you a ride, take it. Go help him look for his puppy. I mean, I love puppies. Right. So
I love puppies, but that's the thing too. These predators would be like, I lost my little pug. Can you help me grab it? And those are the exposers that they want someone unknowingly to like see their pee-pee, right? Those are the ones like, get in the car. Yeah. Fucking weirdos. Yeah. I don't think that's a situation they put them in. It's bigger than that.
Yeah.
It is bigger than that, but I'm going to ask Frank.
Yeah.
All right. Let's keep going.
Belongs to the family. Yeah, they had good reason to look at them. Then you had the Ramsey's actions. Now, and there's a story about after the body's found, John calls his pilot to arrange a flight out of Boulder. That's true. And I think John Ramsey addressed that and said, well, I still had a family to protect. And I believe he was right. I believe he knows who the killer is. And that's why he tried to get out of Dodge so quickly with his kid lying dead on the floor. So everybody has to understand that the Ramseys weren't just like, we were wrongly targeted. No, you were rightly targeted. Because that's how they have to investigate. And you made yourselves look even more suspicious when you just refuse to cooperate. Now, meanwhile, from the DA side, they're giving information to Ramsey attorneys. Okay, Jay, you follow, true crime is your thing, right? Now, the 90s, while it's long ago, it's not ancient history. Technology was there in the 90s. How long in cases does it usually take to get phone records?
Oh, now? Not long at all. Within a couple days.
A couple of days now. Let's just say in the 90s, let's just say it was a week.
Yeah, if they had to mail them to you, you'd have to wait for them to get in the mail or fax.
Now, I'm sure things could be expedited, but let's just say, let's just err on the side of caution, 1996, it takes 2 weeks to get phone records. The cops went to the DA and they said, hey, we want to get the Ramsey's phone records. The DA told them no. What district attorney does that? No. To phone records? We want to see if John called anybody, the morning before the phone
Absolutely. Did they make any phone calls? Yeah. Especially since they probably had cell phones too, I'm sure, because they had money.
Matter of fact, one of the ones they wanted it for the landline and John Ramsey's business cell phone, which he averaged about 100 minutes a month on.
Oh, wow.
So, I think Steve Thomas addressed that in his book. Couldn't believe it. That the DA, the district
So they never got the phone records to see if any other calls besides the 911?
They did. They got the records.
They did end up getting them.
Almost a year later.
Wow. See, that's like one of the first things they do now.
Yeah, well, that's the first thing they always do. Everybody always. But the thing is, nobody's ever fought against it. The district attorney works with the cops. Oh, you want phone records, right? Yeah, sure. Boom. I mean, that's step number one.
Right, because usually they want answers, right?
Yeah. If you have a phone in your house, they want to know who you talk to. And then they finally get his phone records, especially for his cell phone, his business cell phone, and it's wiped clean. Nothing used month of December.
Oh my God. I just had a thought, guys. Think about this too. You have someone who supposedly took the time to write a 3-page ransom letter. How do we know they didn't try to use the phone to call someone? Like that should have been automatic.
Good point.
I'm sure that's what the cops were thinking. But
I mean, if you have a ransom and you have a kid that's kidnapped before they even found the body, the first thing you'd think is, oh my gosh, if they used your pad to write this long ass note,
don't call the cops.
Maybe they used your phone.
Alert the authorities.
Well,
I am not a believer. See, the intruder theory never made sense to me. Never did. Could you,
Nikki, repeat that? That was good.
I said, in the ransom note says to not alert authorities, not even to tell the dog or whatever. I forget the wording of it. But the first thing she does is call the cops and doesn't even mention the ransom letter. So, or say that somebody's taken my child.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Yep.
Somebody threatened our lives.
They have my 6-year-old daughter. I don't give a flying fuck what they say. I'm calling immediately.
Well, I would too, but they didn't even mention, you know what I mean? There was no on the on 911. You would think she would say, hello, I just found a ransom letter. They told me not to call the cops. I don't know what to do, but no.
Right. No shit. Amy from Para Women Radio just said exactly. Plus, they called all their neighbors. They called a lot of people that day.
Yeah, they called a lot of people. I mean, who thinks the first thing you should do is to call over friends?
You would be so frantic that you would just be trying to get help, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you might call your mother, you might call your best friend, maybe, but not at that time. The police would have to have come. You have answers. You're just looking for your child. That's your main focus. Frantic, traumatization is just pinpointing, hyper focusing on find my child. I don't care if they say don't call the cops. What do you want me to do here? Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm. What does it say? Jay, I had one of those cell phones that came in with a little briefcase. Yeah, right. My mother had one of those too.
It's called the wiretapping, in the movies.
Mm-hmm. And when the time passed, when it was time for the ransom people to be called, nobody mentioned it or was waiting for the ransom caller. Yeah. True.
Correct.
True. And then there was no like what was that? What was that movie with Liam Neeson and not Gone Girl? That's a great movie too, though. When his girl was taken and people are waiting for calls and there's cops like waiting for the call and they're listening and they're trying to get information. There was none of that. They Taken. Thank you. Great movie. Great
There's
movie.
3 of them.
Yeah, there is. Sorry, I'm bent over typing. Oh, girl, you are all good. You are all good. I have heard the voices from Patsy. Thought she hung up. What, hung up on who? Taken. Yep. See, people are helping me out in here. You guys. Okay. That's the same name. Yeah. I don't know. See, this is why people side eye them, though, right? This is all the side eye material.
100%. They looked sketchy, but also too. So think of it, look at it as in like a black or white. Like there is some gray areas, and people focus on the gray areas because that's what you do. Like you look at the family first. That's what happened when my cousin was taken. I mean, granted, my aunt uncle had nothing to do with it, but you know what I mean.
Right.
Like they have to. Like anybody who's closest to the victim, they have to look into it. And Ramsey's did not make themselves look innocent. I'll just say that. But
no, they did not.
There's a reason they couldn't, because they're not guilty in actual unaliving her, but in a roundabout way.
They're guilty of something, but what is that something? And what was the situation that they put their kids in that they were bringing up charges on neglect? Inquiring minds want to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to do like mental gymnastics. The clear evidence points to the Ramsey involvement, because everything that's involved in the evidence in the house points to them. But yet when you talk about the broken window, maybe he got in through that way. Okay, but now that's not clear evidence. That's just you speculating. Well, maybe they used the briefcase. Maybe they stepped on it to try to get out. That's speculation. Oh, maybe he was in the house. That explains why he had the time to write a ransom note. Speculation. You're speculating. You're trying to what's the word I'm looking for? You're trying to make up reasons why the intruder theory makes sense.
You're trying to justify it.
Yeah, they have their narrative and they're not steering from it. I even heard John he was on a podcast called True Crime Junkie about a week ago.
Mm-hmm.
And he actually speculated that the intruder tried to put JonBenet in that suitcase and it didn't work out for him, that they were going to put her in the suitcase and get her out of the house in the suitcase. I had never heard that before.
And this is why we called, focusing on the house and the quote unquote evidence, we call it getting lost in the weeds. It is.
I'm sorry, I have to pause it just for this comment. Thank you.
No,
Thank you so much for this comment. And this is just, we're all just discussing and trying to figure it all out together, right? It says, I've seen stories of parents getting close, or pedos getting close with the family and the family being oblivious. Could they be guilty of ignorance?
That's how they have to do the grooming process. That's what happened with me. This guy was like an uncle to me. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's the only way that they can nonchalantly do it behind the scenes without them getting caught. So because they have to basically do the grooming process. No kids. Like if a guy whips out his little thing and says, do this, a kid's gonna be like, what? No, you have to get, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, that's just the process of, unfortunately, it starts little by slow. Correct. And it's disgusting because but what's scarier too is like when you said, or when Frank or Jim said something about how the guy in the Boy Scouts was like bragging about it, like they don't get to that level unless they have a number under their belts. You know what I mean?
Oh, like that's what, and they get those slaps on the wrists.
Correct. Yeah. Like
they know that they're not going to get in trouble because they just know they are so bolden that they're just like, whatever.
Right. Yeah. They're fearless at that point because they've gotten away with it for so long. That's
right.
Scary.
And I like to point this out too. Not a lot of parents who have trusted adults around their children, which is ignorance, right? You just want to believe that this person wants to be a big brother or a big sister to your child, and you offer your child to go hang out with them, go to the movies, whatever. I've never seen a parent necessarily be charged with anything because that they were groomed as well. Like,
Well, this is why a
you
lot,
know,
like, it happens in churches a lot, because
right.
parents trust people in churches. But
Yeah.
what they don't understand is because I've, had since my childhood, I like to
Right.
process like things just in like, just I analyze everybody. And I think this is part of my
Yeah.
problem, because I'm always and how I can always
We're
read
hyper
people
vigilant,
now,
girl.
because
Yeah.
I'm super hyper vigilant. But like, this is like what happens. Like, people they get close to the family, they
Mhm.
make themselves look like they're a good guy,
Yeah.
and that's how. And then they see they're in,
Yeah.
and then it gets more and more brazen as time goes on, until like a kid's like old enough to talk, and that's what happened
Right.
with me. Like, that's when it stopped. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. Yeah. So I don't think that parents be, depending on in a normal, or I mean, nothing's normal about it, but like in a regular situation where a parent trusts an adult with their child for a number of reasons, they don't get brought up on these charges of neglect and basically feeding their child to the wolves, because they were also groomed, and it's not like they had anything to do with it. It's there's more to that story.
Correct.
There's a situation that happens that they thought that, like, no, like they put their daughter in harm's way. And at this point, I believe that Burke, it was also in harm's way.
Oh, absolutely.
Who am I?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm not even 95% on that. I am 99.9% believe that.
Same, girl. Same. I mean, I wasn't there, but I mean, just
Of course. But that's
we
just
call a
the
spade a
feeling you get.
spade.
That's why I think that he was very nervous, because of, he was probably threatened.
Yeah. Or
I mean,
scared
why do you think that he was whisked away when the cops got there?
Mm-hmm. Yep. They didn't want anyone to spill the beans.
Correct. They didn't want to risk him getting asked questions. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah, and you know what? I did a stream about a person that is an
You're
expert that
stupid,
tried to
Jay.
get Jay is hysterical. He's been here forever. He's one of our OGs.
He's our dark humor, like us. We have dark humor. Yeah.
Yes, he's our dark humor love. So just if you're new here, you see Jay, and you're like, oh, that's right. Yeah, no, this is Jay, and he just puts he has the comic effect for really heavy stuff, and we appreciate him. Hi, Rosie. It's good to see you, baby.
Hey, Rosie. Another OG.
Another OG. We had all the OGs night, but like I was saying, with the guy with the expert, he was going, and I actually, I forgot what I was saying, because I was distracted by our OGs. I'll think about it. I'll find the words again.
Yeah, ADHD is real. It's fine.
Yeah, let's keep. Oh my God, it's so real. It's so real, kids.
So real.
Bailey, I could tie my shoes. Yeah. All right.
It's impossible to solve it because of what happened. Hell, to be honest with you, I don't even think she was killed in the house.
Yeah. By all means, if you want to find out, if you really want to find out what went on with this case, you can't stay within the four walls, because 28 years later, focusing on the inside of the house, what has that gotten you?
Nothing.
We've been saying it for 28 years. Stop focusing on the house and stop waiting for this mystery DNA hit that ain't never gonna come. We've been saying it for 28 years.
And you look at it, like my brother was saying, the physical evidence points to the Ramseys, but the grand jury comes out, and Jay, I just sent you on the text.
Wait, Jim, before we get to the grand jury,
okay,
right? Because I know we're on that topic.
Yeah,
we're gonna go back to another case. All right, and this is the story of Sid Wells, 1983. Okay, remember this district attorney's office. You have a compromised district attorney in Hunter. The guy's millions of dollars in debt because of shady real estate deals. This is who he was. Guy ran unopposed for all those years until the Ramsey case happens. He's plea bargaining pedophiles out left and right. for years. And in 1983, see, grand juries are the exception, not the rule in Boulder. They're rarely used. Ramsey being one. There's only been really 2 high-profile cases that got national attention. Obviously, the Ramsey case, and the Sid Wells murder case is the other one. Sid Wells, and the reason it got national attention in 1983, young kid, smart, was interning at a news station, I believe, had a nice apartment, and he was dating the daughter of actor Robert Redford. Everything's going well in his life. He's looking to take on a roommate. So this guy comes to the house, says, "Yeah, I'm moving in with you." His name is Thane Smyka. Thane Smyka, bit of a partier, drug user, also deals in drugs. Over time, Sid Wells is complaining about Thane being late with the rent. And they're having issues about rent payments. Now, one day, Sid Wells' brother goes on a camping trip, comes home, comes back, goes to Sid's house, finds his brother dead, shot in the back of the head with a shotgun. And now the case gets national attention because of who he was dating. Thane Smyka is eventually arrested. The shotgun was his, that was used. To cover himself, he wrote a note saying that he was going to be gone for a few days. That was going to be his alibi. And he left the note on the table, not thinking about the blood that had exploded out of Sid Wells' head because he used a shotgun. And he placed the note on top of the blood, which shows that, he did it. And Thane's own mother and sister said that Thane did it, his own family members. So he's arrested, he's put in jail. For whatever reason, Hunter forms a grand jury to investigate this case. Why? Who knows? Alex Hunter does something so bizarre. He makes a deal with Thane Smyka's defense attorneys, guaranteeing that the grand jury will not vote to indict. In return, the defense attorneys are going to allow Thane Smyka to stay in Boulder custody for a little while longer. Hunter also agrees not to have Thane's family members testify against him at the grand jury. And so no indictment happens. Thane Smyka is eventually released from jail. Thane then sticks around Boulder for a little bit, and then he takes off. What's today's date, Jim? November what? November 30th, right?
November 30th.
As of November 30th, 2024, Thane Smyka is still missing. That's what Alex Hunter did.
Wow.
Because of that stupid deal that he made, he didn't tell the cops about it. He didn't tell the other prosecutors about it. Nobody knew what he did. And then Thane takes off, and he's on the FBI most wanted list since 1983.
Wow.
That's grand jury number 1. Once again, this Ramsey case is all about context. Who are the villains? Who are the heroes? Not exactly who you think. So now we get to the Ramsey grand jury, right? So the grand jury is seated September, October 1998. Full investigative powers. They sit for a year. They come back. Hunter gives, and they showed the press conference, actually on the Netflix special. You can pull it up on YouTube. And he pretty much says that we're not going to, we don't have enough evidence to move forward. He used legal jargon to confuse the public. He could have just came out and said, the jury indicted, but we're not going to sign it. Just because you have to sign the bill of indictment. The district attorney has to sign off on it, and then he has to bring it to trial. He could have said that. He could have said, well, they indicted, but we don't think that we have enough to go on. So the public was left thinking he deliberately misled the public, in my opinion. And it's not just my opinion. That's what all the papers.
He totally misled, because that's like putting the cart after the horse, because you either have a grand jury or you have the preliminary hearing where you determine if the judge determines, or the grand jury determines if there's enough probable cause to go forward with these charges. So he wouldn't get an indictment. That's just backwards, because why would you ask a grand jury to convene if you didn't want the indictment?
Well, that's
amen.
And he made it sound like the grand jury, it came to an end, and using legalese made it appear that there was no indictments. So the headlines around the country were grand Ramsey grand jury refuses to indict. And that's what the American public were led to believe. So, and that happened in 1999 after 1 year of sitting and investigating. So from 1999 to 2013, everybody's under the assumption that there were never any indictments.
Yeah, there were people tonight that had no idea.
Yeah.
And then, well, hold on, Frank J, if you're able, I sent you a text with the indictments.
Yep, I've got it right here.
Oh, here we go,
so
kids.
There was a Charlie Brennan, who was actually on the documentary. He actually, and along with somebody else, it was the Boulder Daily Camera, and I forget the other group that was involved in the lawsuit. They sued to get the there was an 18-page grand jury report. Now, and this is the other beauty of this, of how Alex Hunter likes to do things with grand juries. So the Ramsey grand jury disbands in, I think, October 99. He gives that statement and then issues a gag order for life. Any grand jury
For life?
member,
A lifetime gag order.
Stop it.
I kid you not.
A
It
whole
is
year
still-
of evidence that they heard and saw.
It is still in place today. This is why when you see grand jury members give an interview or talk, they're in shadow
Dang.
because they can still go to jail.
Wow.
And it was anybody involved in the grand jury process. So people who were there, grand jury members, people who testified, everybody fell under it. And then he went a step further. Anybody from the public that tried to contact anybody involved with the grand jury, anybody who testified, grand jury members, is also facing jail. So that's what he did when it ended. So now, with the guidelines established, where, okay, just going to be a secret for life, there were no indictments anyway. The lawsuit in 2013 happens with the Boulder Daily Camera, and a judge releases 4 pages of an 18-page report from the grand jury. And in it are indictments against the Ramseys. 2 charges for each parent. Let's see. So there it is. Count 4 of the indictment. I mean, I don't have to read it. It's there for people to see. Did unlawfully, knowingly, recklessly, and feloniously permit a child to be unreasonably placed in a situation. Now, remember, people, in the legal world, words matter. Read it again.
Words
Unlawfully,
matter.
knowingly, recklessly, and feloniously permit a child to be unreasonably placed in a situation. That is the key word. Which posed a threat of injury to the child's life or health, which resulted in the death of JonBenet Ramsey. The other indictment.
In a
Ramsey did
situation
unlawfully,
that resulted
feloniously,
in
under
death.
assistance.
Go ahead, baby.
It says in a situation that resulted in her death. So they have evidence that the Ramseys did something to cause her death in a roundabout way. So he put her in a
Right.
situation that caused her death.
Right.
So
So the situation is more than just meets the eye of what people have been perpetuating.
correct.
Much-
And that's
much
why
of-
I think that John has been keeping his narrative out there. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because he doesn't want the truth to come out. I frankly
Right.
think the only way that this case will truly be solved is when John, meets the Lord. You know what I mean? So then
when
everything
he meets
can
his
just,
maker.
when everything can come to light without, yes, that's
Yeah.
just my opinion.
And in my opinion too, that's why when with all the Burke interviews that he has done, he is very evasive to a lot of things because he's probably petrified not only by the people who maybe I'm speculating abused him and what could happen to him, but his father. He knows that what's going on with the dad because maybe it happened to him too, and he is so traumatized and so
Yeah.
scared that he is afraid to misstep, right? So
Right.
him not saying anything could be to be survival mode more than him just being what people like to call him a weirdo and shit. It's much deeper than that. It is much more than meets the eye.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
To a person with intent to hinder, delay, and prevent the discovery, detention, apprehension, prosecution, conviction, and punishment of such person for the commission of a crime, knowing the person being assisted has committed and was suspected of the crime of murder in the first degree and child abuse resulting in death. When you break it down, so that comes out via the lawsuit in 2013. That is our sex ring theory in 1997. 17 years earlier.
Because I want to say, like, what would the grand jury? I'm sorry, I just want to ask, like, what else could the grand jury have seen or heard that would strictly place the Ramseys in putting her in a situation that could cause her death?
Well, that's the sex ring theory.
And I am almost 100% sure they heard the same stories that we were hearing.
Yeah, if we were digging up information and we were finding out information on the town, and we were hearing about city officials and people from the college and business owners, I'm guessing they heard the same thing. Because look, the old adage is true. A grand jury can indict a ham sandwich. It is not their job to take a case to trial. All they're supposed to do is indict. They have the lowest bar has to be met. The body's in the house. The pad to write the ransom note is the Ramseys. The garrote used is Patsy's paintbrush. The pen used for the ransom note is theirs. That is more than enough to indict. But yeah.
That's the thing too. They're the people that have the authority to say, no, you need to indict and look into this. No one did that.
No one did that.
No one.
Yeah.
Even let's just say, you get indict and ham sandwich. Okay, that's fine. But they said to indict them and investigate it as to why they think that, and crickets. Nothing happened. And this is the shit that's looming over their head all these years. Like, come on.
Yet they didn't. They
come out with a nuanced.
They come out with a third option. Yeah. Wasn't John, wasn't Patsy, wasn't an intruder. They add a third party.
Who would that be? Or what would that be?
Well, you may want to ask a grand jury member.
It's never come out.
But be careful. You may go to jail if you do.
That is insane.
But why would the grand jury? I mean, it says it right there. The charge one was a felony child abuse, not physical, but for putting their child in a situation in which she could be harmed.
Right.
What situation could she have been put in?
Right, because the narrative we've been sold was that the little girl, the situation was she went to bed. John put her in bed when they got home from the Whites.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then the other part is they aided and abetted the killer in getting away. Now go back 17 years to two brothers in New Jersey who come up with a sex ring theory that was John and Patsy Ramsey didn't kill their child, but they were involved in something that led to the child's death and then had to cover up for the murder of their child because of said involvement. That was our sex ring theory. You're seeing it in legal jargon 17 years later via the grand jury. So whatever we were finding out, the grand jury must have heard about. Hence the gag order by Hunter to keep everybody quiet and to keep any information coming out. There's still 14 other pages.
Makes sense.
That the public can't see. Were there any other charges? Were there any other names in the grand jury report?
Right.
We don't get to see it.
Who testified in front of the grand jury? Did everybody who was at the Whites party testify, I wonder?
We don't get to know that. That's a secret. And if you try to find out, you go to jail.
But whatever they heard, they came out with that.
They came out with that, yeah.
They came out with that.
They weren't convinced that John and Patsy physically did anything to her.
Right. But that's the thing too. Why were there only 4 pages that were dropped that the public could see when there's several more? Is that normal? I don't know if that's normal. Maybe that's something that we can ask Scotty, retired NYPD honey. Is that normal that 4 pages were given, but the rest were not given? And what? Why? Why couldn't we see the other pages? If you're going to drop 4, why not drop them all? Right? Am I wrong? Is that normal, Scotty? Is that normal?
Correct.
And for everybody that's got a theory out there, that grand jury, those indictments only agree with one, and that's ours. It's not our fault.
Right. I mean, what other situation could there have been that put her at risk of this?
Let's just try and speculate. I hate to speculate, but I don't know. They put her in a situation to be harmed. So the night she dies, they bring her to a party at the home of a guy who has allegations leveled against him of being in a child sex ring.
Mm-hmm. You know what, you guys, when I listened to your podcast, it made me remember John's deposition where he stated that he and Fleet White went upstairs with JonBenet and Fleet's daughter, Daphne, to play with beads. Just the 4 of them during this party. That never sat well with me. I just always thought that was odd to have 2 grown men, on a separate floor during a holiday party with these girls playing beads.
Yeah, the whole thing is odd. Fleet is odd. You want to talk about a guy that screams guilt? He hasn't been able to shut his mouth since this murder happened.
Right.
Any other case, everybody would be screaming, this guy is guilty. Every case. Here's a great quote. This is from Ramsey private investigator Ollie Gray, who I worked with from 2003 up until his death in 2017. Quote, we think Fleet played a role in the murder. We just don't know which role he played.
Oh my God.
Wrap your head around that.
Wow.
Okay. And that's John's private investigator. So if Ollie thought that, John knew about it.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying? These guys have been playing a game of chicken with each other.
And then you go back and you take your Nancy finding and how that connects to Fleet Jr. through Fleet Sr. Holy.
Yeah, it's and now people will, I don't like to attack other people's theories. I don't like to do it. But I just want to put the Burke theory to rest because it's just so silly.
Oh, I agree.
I mean, if you don't follow the case, then just don't follow the case and keep your theories to yourself. Because to say Burke did it, it's just so asinine. Okay, so what you're saying is, because Burke was 9, so there's no way he fashioned the garrote because the knots were intricate. He wouldn't even know how to do that. So he has nothing to do with the garrote. So he's the 9-year-old that bashes his sister head wide open. And then you are to tell me, I mean, if you're going to believe in the Burke theory, you have to read the autopsy report.
Right.
Petechia, hemorrhaging on the eyelids and the eyes, right? She was alive when she was strangled. So you're saying that Burke hit her on the head. So to protect their 9-year-old son, who wouldn't go to jail anyway, if something happened, he'd be sent to a psychiatrist and probably, be studied for a couple of years and never be taken away from the Ramseys because he's 9. They're not going to prosecute a 9-year-old. They don't prosecute grown men who are pedophiles in that town. You think they were going to prosecute Burke?
Huh.
So the Burke bashes her on the head with something, and then the Ramseys, to protect Burke, then strangle while their daughter is still alive. They fashion a garrote and kill her. That's the Burke
To
theory.
cover up that their son hit her in the head.
It
Yeah.
makes
no
really
sense.
makes no sense.
I feel bad for Burke, man. He's been through enough. Can you imagine being raised in this environment? I mean, that's bad enough. I mean, leave the guy alone.
Amen.
And then spend all the money you made on attorneys protecting her. Yeah, it's silly. It's asinine. So so that's the grand jury. So you got the Sid Wells grand jury. That Hunter screwed up on purpose, and that killer is still among us somewhere in the world because of Hunter. And it's almost the same thing with the Ramsey case. He lied to the public. He didn't want to go to trial, and the killer or killers are still free in the Ramsey case, whoever they may be. Now,
how scary is that this real killer has been roaming around the world for the past 29 years, amongst other ones, doing it to how many other people? Wasn't it like a person who has never been caught or like questioned about something like that? They have somewhere up of, if I remember correctly, Frank,
like 280.
200, 286 victims.
Yeah, 280-ish. Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah, in their lifetime, individual, not times per. It's people, individual kids, 200 and uppers of 280 kids that they do this to. And if it's this person who thinks that he can get away with murder, literally, how many more is that? Like fucking bugging. Oh my God.
Isn't that
again, we don't believe John and Patsy killed their child, but that's it. I have nothing personal against John and Patsy. We never bothered them at all these years. We never harassed them. We never asked for information. We were respectful because at the end of the day, even if they did something, even if they were involved, our theory is correct, they paid a price, the price of their daughter. That's the price they paid. But they're not the killers. But we believe we think they know who the killers are or killer. So that's that. Jim, where do you want to go next?
Did you want to do the second poem? We never did the second poem.
Oh wait, I want to get to this question right here. This comment right here from it says, why was Burke left in their care considering the grand jury stating that the parents put JonBenet in a situation resulting in death? That's a good point. I think it has to do with the corruption.
That is a good question. Mm-hmm.
That is a great question.
That's a good question to mark down for Frank when he comes up.
It is. I'm writing it down right now. Great question, honey. All right, let's get to the second poem. Oh God, Amy, get your fucking shit together. Okay.
Did you want to go to the poems, Frank, or do you want to touch on Ballard?
My goodness.
You guys decide. I don't want to backtrack.
All right, where are we time?
What layer of the onion are we on? We're
gonna stick with
2 hours in.
Okay, 2 hours in. We're going to stick with the cases for now because there's a couple of cases we want to touch on. Jim, let me just bring up the amazing story of Jerry Berry.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's another oldie but a goodie. So Jerry Berry is the president. I'm sorry, not president. He is the treasurer of First Baptist Church in Boulder, and at the time of the murder of JonBenet Ramsey. Eventually, he is arrested. Okay, and what the charges were is that First Baptist Church had a program to help people in the community who were down on their luck, specifically families. So a woman comes to the church with 3 young girls. I think the ages were 4, 6, and 8, or something
This makes
close
me
to that.
sick.
For help. The church takes them in, and Jerry Berry takes a liking to the family. Starts to bring those 3 girls to his house.
And where was this house?
I think the street was like Cherryvale Road. I believe it was in Boulder.
Yep.
Right there in Boulder.
Yeah. Well,
Oh, yeah.
First Baptist Church is like walking distance to the Ramsey home.
Oh, is it that close? Okay. I didn't realize
very
that.
close.
Okay.
First Baptist is across the street and down the block a little bit from St. John's Church. So while he's got these girls in his house, he's taking pictures of them in different stages of undress, which he shows the mother. Now, any mother would freak out when you have this person who you don't really know because you just got to this church, who's now watching your children without you there, and he's showing you pictures of your daughters topless. The mother's response, maybe you should add some feather boas.
What?
Yeah, sure.
You heard me.
Shit.
So what I have there is the mother giving permission. Once again, family involvement happened in the Slusher case, happens in the Berry case, and other cases which we'll touch on. So he tries to develop the film at a camera store. Somebody sees what's on these, this is after he shows the pictures to the mom, and then the abuse really continues. He starts taking baths with them.
What?
I will not go into the sex acts that he commits with them because of their age, but you can imagine.
I would be in
Good
jail for
Lord.
castrating.
And this is the
Right.
guy from the church that was like running the
First-
nursery?
No. This is a separate church.
Okay, sorry, I was confused. Not the
This is-
Ramsey's church.
Yeah, we're gonna actually not talk about what you just mentioned. We're gonna talk about. We may, I'll see, but we gotta
Okay.
be kind of careful.
Okay.
Anyway, but so Jerry Berry tries to develop film of pictures he's taken of these girls at a camera shop. Guy does the right thing, sees it, calls the cops. He's arrested. The thing with Jerry Berry, he's independently rich. He owns 14 cars, has no driver's license, and owns a company called Berry Enterprises, which to this day, nobody can find out what it did. It was a front company for something, but we'll get to that.
Mhm.
So they removed from Jerry Berry's house camera equipment, filmmaking equipment, computers. So they got him cold on child sexual abuse of these 3 young girls. Now, keep in mind, this is maybe 2 years after the murder of JonBenet Ramsey, so the media frenzy is still through the roof. But yet nobody knows this guy's name. He's arrested. They got him cold. He's got okay, Jim, you want to pick this up and talk about the detective that worked the case?
Yeah, I talked with the detective that was involved in the Jerry Berry case, and I asked her. I said, "Did you was he a child pornographer?" And no, was that your determination? And the detective said, "Yes. He was involved in child pornography. That's what he was doing, most likely. In which he was distributing as well." But what happened was they have this guy dead to rights, but they give once again a plea deal.
Oh wait, you're missing an important part.
Which part?
The detectives believed that he was a child pornographer.
Yeah.
So what they did was they called in the postal inspectors
Oh yeah, that's
to
right.
track where the pornography was going. This is important. So if Jerry Berry was making child pornography, who was receiving it? Who was he selling it to? That's what the postal inspectors were going to find out, but that was short-circuited by the district attorney's office, who pleaded him out. And Jim, go ahead. Sorry, continue.
No, that's okay. Yeah. So once the plea deal comes down, Jerry Berry gets no jail time, house arrest.
Unbelievable.
And when I asked the detective, I said, "What were your thoughts on it?" She goes, "When that came down, she goes, I had literally fell out of my chair."
Okay.
The
Fucking
detectives
house
could not
arrest.
believe it.
Sick.
So you're on the verge of a widening pornography scandal with somebody from first, and this is after the murder of JonBenet Ramsey. You figure, all right, we are going to crack down on pedophiles, right? We're going to crack down. Nope, not with Jerry Berry. Even though you got him dead to rights, even though you had a prior in another state for the same thing, even though he's a child pornographer and you're trying to find out where the child pornography is going, but nobody's going to know now because you play him out. And then you give him 0 jail time. And then you give him lifetime probation, which he violates 4 times before you even put him in jail.
Unbelievable.
This is 2 years after the murder of JonBenet Ramsey. This is Alex Hunter. This is Mary Keenan. You know, the one that everybody says, oh, she's a hero for exonerating the Ramseys. She didn't exonerate anybody. She issued an apology, talked about DNA, which she covered up the stuff that she was told because it wasn't mentioned in her apology. The Ramseys never should have been removed. There never should have been an apology issued. But people are saying, oh, yeah, this Mary Keenan's a hero. No, she ain't. She was part of this problem. Matter of fact, during this time frame, she's the one who's in charge of the plea bargains. So that's Jerry Berry. So you got the pedophile attorney who's protected. You can't even arrest him because everybody knows and he's just left untouched. Now you got a guy after the Ramsey murder who's a child pornographer, caught dead to rights molesting 3 girls, and you can't even put him in jail. This is the district attorney's office that you think that's going to get to the bottom of the Ramsey case?
And that was after JonBenet. So like she totally died in vain.
You know, look, she died and it's been CYA time in that town since that murder. Cover your ass.
Yeah. Have a lot of these folks passed away or are they still around?
Jerry Berry recently died.
Yeah, he died. You know, so you just got to start putting all these cases together.
And just because Jerry Berry happened after the Ramsey case, no, was it 99? You know, he was doing it for a long time. That doesn't mean that doesn't mean he wasn't doing it prior or, you know, to JonBenet. You know, this is the guy that owned Jerry Enterprises that even Lou Smith couldn't figure out what type of business it was.
Unreal. I just saw a Daily Camera article from 8/14/99 about Jerry Berry. Police find albums of child porn and seize 5 computers.
Yep. They took a ton of stuff out of his house. And I remember I actually had interaction. I dealt with I bet you that article you're reading is by Christopher Anderson.
It's actually just an excerpt, but there was another thing about Allen Ginsberg. Do you know who that is? Ginsberg?
Allen Ginsberg, the poet.
He was a member of NAMBLA, the North American Man Boy Love Association, and he was a former Boulder resident, and his motto was "Sex by 8 or it's too late."
Oh, that's NAMBLA's motto.
That's so gross. Oh, these people.
So welcome to Boulder. This is why we call it the Boulder syndrome.
No kidding.
And there are other cases which we're not even talking about, but we haven't gotten to the granddaddy of them all, which is the Ballard case, which my brother, who really, he did a great job working that case, he's going to take you through that case now.
All right, Jim.
Well, talk about the Ballard case. The Ballard case, this was considered the worst child sex abuse case in Colorado history, right? Which no one ever heard of.
Is it Ballard? Ballard?
Ballard. Yep.
Okay.
And you had 7 children that were involved, and they ranged from like ages 5 to 13ish, right around there. And their abuse, you know, the timeline's like 1987 to 1991, right around there. And so the Ballard kids, they were tortured. They were raped by their own parents and by their neighbors, who were Marcia and Dennis Dunnan. So you had Mike Ballard, Patricia Ballard, Dennis Dunnan, and Marcia Dunnan, and they were abusing these Ballard kids. Okay, and while they were living in several towns, Boulder being one, Longmont, Lafayette. They were spread out. They moved a lot in Boulder County. Now the Ballards and Dunnans in the affidavit, because we got a lot of paperwork on them, they were abusing other children in the neighborhood as well, and they were pimping out their kids, according to the affidavit, to strangers, to neighbors, and adults in the community. Okay, so they were pimping their kids out to all players in the community.
Unreal.
But what happened was every time caseworkers were assigned to the Ballard children for neglect issues, the Ballards would then pick up and move to another town.
Amy, pause it.
Continue their abuse. That was their pattern. And so, like the Ballard children, they would wind up, you know, DHHS would go there.
Okay. Rosie's comment says, I called this 15 years ago. I said it was the photographer. So Rosie, are you saying, sorry. Oh.
My bad, go ahead. My bad, go ahead.
Rosie, are you saying you believe it was the photographer? I'm just genuinely curious. What you think it is, or who you think it is. And Ames, I don't know when you want to stop this to have Frank jump on.
Yes. Whenever. I just want to write down the time that we are at, because I think we've been at 2 hours.
Right. That's kind of why I'm trying to figure out where.
Yeah. So we can. Yeah. Let's do that. So we've been at 2:07. Okay. Yeah. Let's stop here and we can finish the rest next week. 2:07. Okay. Yeah, we can do that. Jim, I sent you a link on your email, sweetie. If you want to come up and jump up and discuss, we have some questions for you, and everyone would love to see and hear from you.
All right, hang on. I just texted him. Yeah, so I'm just generally curious. So I'm gonna let Frank answer this. So Rosie says, yes, I believe that.
Oh, yeah.
was
So
not-
this is
it was
such
not
good
JonBenet's.
information.
Yeah, but it was not JonBenet's photographer. It was not her. Although he ended up getting caught basically down the lines. I'm gonna let Frank deal with that one, but yeah, it was not JonBenet's photographer, her pageant photographer. However, I do believe that he was bagged for that as well.
That's right. He was actually a known pedophile. That is correct. That was confirmed the last time that Frank was here, but we don't think that that he was the one. Yeah.
Yeah, the Jerry Berry, it's a completely different case. But yeah, it was in the other church.
Mm-hmm.
He was not involved with St. John's.
That's right.
That. Yeah.
That's right.
So, oh, Frank said sure. Okay, so.
Okay, awesome.
Amy sent you the link. Come on down.
Come on in. And actually, you can let him up and stuff too. You got full control, sister.
Yeah,
I'm just doing something. I'm
when
researching
I was
something.
Rosie, you was saying Unsolved Amy, and I'm like, oh shit, that's from Nikki.
Yeah, I need to figure out how to get your name on there. I forget how to do it, but I will.
I'm not overly worried about it. It's all German right now, so
Yeah, man.
But yeah, so this case is crazy. It's disgusting to hear the sex by 8 or it's too late theory, because I've never, like, you don't think that like triggered me instantly.
Yes,
because it's disgusting that that's how they think. But mine was before 8. You know what I mean? Like, that's how because as I look at it as they just pry on children who just don't know any better. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It takes a while to groom up. Here he is. Okay.
Hello.
Hey,
Hi,
you guys hear me?
Yes,
You
thank you for joining us.
I'm doing this via the car, so I don't know how it sounds, but
You're good. You sound great.
You're good.
all right.
As soothing as ever, Frank.
Always soothing.
So,
I'm
the
like
David Allen Boucher.
I'm like a cough drop.
Oh,
That's funny.
like that bourbon I was drinking, Frank. Just smooth, you know.
All right. So good job, ladies. Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So the questions. Go ahead.
The questions.
Yeah.
So I had a questions. Wait, where did I even put it? So if they were charged, why didn't anything ever come of them being charged? Was there a reason, rhyme for anything as to why they weren't charged back then? Or they said to indict, but were they ever charged? And
No.
were they acquitted of said? Okay.
They were never charged. There was never an arrest. They were never charged. All there was an indictment. But of course, nobody knew. The grand jury disbands in '99, and everybody was told or assumed there was no indictments, and it took 14 years for it to come out that there actually were indictments, but that Alex Hunter refused to sign the true bill. So if the DA doesn't sign off, nothing happens.
Alex Hunter, the DA, correct? Yeah.
So that's what happened. They were indicted, and Hunter refused to sign off, and that's that.
Wow.
And now, of course, by the time it comes out in 2014 and it's released, the statute of limitations had run out on those charges.
How convenient.
Ironically, yeah.
Amazing,
right?
Yep.
Yeah. And I have another question from a viewer who's pretty new to this. She says, how was she in the ring and who put her in there?
Well, I mean, look, it's how, how does one join a pedophile ring? I don't know. Maybe there's a secret handshake. Maybe you pay monthly dues. I have no idea. I've never been involved in one. But,
Right.
it's with John, people like, there's no history with John or Patsy. There was nothing on their computers. No child pornography. Nothing was found. Sometimes you're judged by the company you keep.
Correct.
Right?
Yes,
How many of you out there, how many of you know a pedophile? Sadly, some of you may, because of something happened in your lifetime, right?
Yep.
But I'm talking how many of you have friends who are pedophiles or there are accusations,
Right.
or they were involved in some way with pedophilia.
Yeah.
Right.
True.
The Ramsey family, I'm sorry, but that kid was dead as soon as she walked in that town. As soon as they brought her there in '92, the clock started running out on her.
And that's why
Right?
Patsy said that moving to Boulder was the worst mistake.
Yeah. I mean, but then look who the family surrounds themselves with, right? Fleet White, accused of being in a sex ring in California, one of John's best friends. John's closest confidant, those are his words, not mine. He used that in the Ramsey book. John wrote, this guy was my closest confidant, Reverend Hoverstock, who's covering for a pedophile at St. John's. His other close friend, John Fernie, he knew about that pedophile at St. John's. They hire a pageant photographer, right? Randy Simons. Right. Turns out he's a pedophile.
Right.
We were tipped off about him in '99 that he was most likely a pedophile, but nobody would listen. And then he gets arrested in 2018 for downloading child pornography. So, how many people, that are involved with a pedophile in some way, shape, or form are you going to put around this kid?
Right.
So something is just wrong. How many people close to John and Patsy?
Close people. Like 5 people.
Santa Claus. Yeah, Santa Claus. Bill McReynolds, right? Mm-hmm. His kid was kidnapped in 1974 along with another child, and Bill McReynolds' daughter was forced to watch the molestation of her friend, and then both kids were returned back to the parents. In what world does that happen? No arrest made in that case.
Right.
It's
actually sorry.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Amy. Sorry about that.
Oh, no, I was going to say, actually, in that same vein, someone just asked if the parents were indicted, or, the grand jury said these things about them. Why was Burke still kept in their custody? Because they were never found guilty or never actually brought onto charges,
because
even though they were supposed to be indicted.
Well, think about it. People get indicted all the time, right? That doesn't mean you lose your family. An indictment is, you're still, even though you're indicted, okay, so a grand jury has met the evidence presented by the prosecutor has met the lowest bar possible for you to be indicted, which means you're going to go to trial. You still have to be found guilty.
Right.
You can't just rip a family apart because of an indictment.
Right.
Now, if you want, yeah, or an accusation. If you want to ask stuff about Burke, nobody ever talks about the break-in at social services back in the 90s. Somebody
elaborate on that.
Yeah. Well, this got me in. This is one of the few times I actually talked with people from the district attorney's office. Okay, so the basis, there were 2 break-ins, right? One was in the war.
Frank, just be careful what you say. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't want you to say too much. That's all.
No. I appreciate that, Becky. So there was the war room break-in. something happened with the computer system inside the computer, inside the Boulder PD war room of the Ramsey case, which they said it was just a computer glitch, that's their excuse. But on this, also on the same day, something happened at social services, and files were stolen out of social services. That happened.
Okay.
Now, I called up. A few years went by. This is like maybe 2002 or something like that. I was like, all right, let me revisit this and try to get an answer from somebody. So I contacted a guy who was in charge with the security systems at social services.
Yeah.
And when I first got him on the phone, I was like, hey, so whatever happened with this? And he just lost his mind on the phone. He was like, it was an outrage. Stuff was stolen. Nobody knows. People need to know about it. It's unbelievable what happened. And I'm just listening to him. And I'm like, hey, man, so tell me everything. What exactly went down? And he's like, I can't talk to you because I'll lose my job. He goes, I got to get it cleared with my boss. So I was like, here's my number. Go talk to your boss. Now I'm thinking, all right, now we're going to figure out what the hell really happened here. And I said, get clearance from your boss, call me back in a couple of hours, and we'll talk. So I go to the movies, and I figure by the time I get back, I'll talk to this guy. I come back home, and I check my answering machine, and I get a message from the district attorney's office asking for me to call them immediately. So I'm like, huh? So I call them, and I'm like, yeah, I got a message on my phone. And they're like, yes, we're going to put you on the line with Assistant District Attorney Bill Wise. Like, all right. So he comes on the phone. He starts screaming at me, asking what I was doing looking into social services. And I'm like, so if you know me a little bit, the conversation got heated quite quickly. So it becomes a screaming match between Assistant Bill Wise and myself. I'm like, how about this? None of your effing business why I'm doing it. I can do whatever I want. How about you do your freaking job and arrest a murderer?
Amen.
Which you can't seem to do.
No.
Oh, we lost him. Frank's driving. Just give him a minute to get some service.
Yeah. Frank's driving currently.
Yeah. He is on the road. There's a person here who says my best friend was a PDF file at the time he was caught, and this person never knew. That's definitely a thing too. Definitely a thing. That definitely happens. We're not saying that everyone knows, but at the same time, if there are so many pedophiles and there are it's been told by several people in the area that it is a known thing, you're not going to tell me that people weren't aware of people. And even it wasn't adjudicated, even wasn't anything, I'm side-eyeing anyone who's accused of touching children. That's what I do. I side eye. And so there has to be some way, shape, form. You want to haul them up?
I just added them. Hold on.
Gotcha.
Oh, I just removed them. Hold on. Add a stage. Sorry. Go ahead.
Frank, you're back.
I'm back. Sorry about that. I don't know if that's something on my end, I guess.
You're good.
No,
Back to your conversation. Your heated conversation.
Okay. So it's a screaming match between me and Assistant District Attorney Bill Wise, going back and forth. And he's telling me nothing happened. And I'm like, well, that's not. I go, look, I know something happened. And, one of the guys over there pretty much admitted it. And then he's like, well, it was handled internally. I'm like, well, if nothing happened, how could it be handled internally if nothing happened? There's nothing to handle.
Right.
And then then he gave me, a warning, stop doing what you're doing. And I'm like, dude, this is why nobody likes you people, man. Just stop covering every single thing up and let the truth come out. And maybe, just maybe, something can happen. And then it ended with us, me saying, F you, don't call my house. I can do whatever I want. And he was telling me, you stop asking questions, and that's how it ended. But that was my experience with the assistant DA.
Yeah.
That's wild.
But-
Too, it's like, it's almost one of those things you're like, hold my beer, because you're just making me want to dig into this even more and to see why you're coming at me like this, right? Like, I'm just asking questions.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole point. They've covered so much stuff up and been that everybody's left with questions about everything. Nobody can get a true answer from anybody. Hey, what'd be great? Start with this. Lift the gag order on the grand jury, release the other 14 pages, and let the public see what's what. When we're done with our project, people are going to see police documents. They have a lot of freaking questions. I don't know this name.
Yeah.
How?
We weren't able to hear the last like 2 sentences that you said. You're cutting it a little bit, honey. If you could repeat it, that'd be great. I think we lost him.
Yeah. Freddie, this is so this is him and his brother.
Answer for it. John's gonna have to answer for it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, he is. Eventually, whether it be
Imagine
in
what
his
the
death
rest.
or not.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
No,
Frank.
I'm sorry. Yeah, go
Sorry.
ahead.
It's all right. I'm just ranting at this point. So.
No, you're ranting,
No,
but you're cutting in and out. It's like you're in New Hampshire.
Yeah, it's like you're in the backwoods of Maine right now.
I am so, it's actually, I am somewhere in the mountains of Pennsylvania.
There you go.
Oh, you're in Pennsylvania.
There it is.
I have a friend in Pennsylvania. His name's Freddie Lynn.
Getting close. Getting close.
Yeah.
All right. So it's up to you guys. Do you want me to continue or do you just want me to hang up? Because I'm
Oh no, please continue.
You're good. You're good. Listen, honey, we're not professionals here. We say we are, but we're actually lying.
Yeah, no, I'm not a professional at all.
We roll with punches here, I'll tell you. All right, so somebody else had a question. Where was it?
Okay.
Who said it? Hold on. Amy, it was the one about Jay with the files. I've been going back. Hold on. Stay tuned, Frank. Stay tuned.
Take your time, ladies. I'm just driving.
Was also one about they're asking if you've ever been thinking about writing a book.
Right here, Freddie.
Thinking about writing a book.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we are working on a project that should be coming out this year.
Yay!
So it could be in the written form. Let's put it that way.
I'm head of PR. Yes. Frank already said that.
Yes, Fraggle Rock is in charge of public relations.
I'll support that shit all over this channel. I'll be like, go get it, links and everything. Please go do yourself a favor and read this book.
All right. Here's one. Can Frank speak on what Jay for Justice mentioned in the Web Sleuths chat regarding the PDF island, please?
The pedophile island.
Yeah.
I think she may have been talking about, for people not familiar, there's a great documentary called Children in the Snow. If you want to watch a really great documentary, I know personally the person that helped create that. It was on I forget if it was on the ID network. May have been the ID network. Children in the Snow, and it goes over the Oakland County child killer case.
Ooh.
In Michigan. And you want to talk about police corruption? Poof! It's the same. It's actually there's a lot of parallels to Ramsey.
Really?
Because you see the cops act in the same way the Boulder PD cops act. Things got bungled. They couldn't do anything right. Then they just got caught lying about information. But anyway, you have North Fox Island, one of the islands out there. was owned by a very wealthy man, last name of Sheldon, Sheldon. And what it was, he was having pedophile parties, child pornography, flying kids in and just doing stuff to them. And this was going on for quite some time.
That's horrifying.
Yeah.
Now, so that's going on while these killings are going on. And these killings are abductions of young kids who are later then found, in the street strangled or in snowbanks.
Mm.
And it connects. Now, the funny thing is that you had to get approval. Sheldon got away with everything, by the way. He was never arrested. He fled the country. No, there were no arrests. So Sheldon, since it was an island, it needed to get approval from the Michigan, the aeronautic division, right?
Mm-hmm.
The one of the people on that committee that approved the runway for the island was John Ramsey's father.
No, sir.
Wow.
Crazy, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
Now it doesn't mean that John Ramsey's father was doing anything. He was on the committee. I think he was actually the head of the committee, that gave approval for Sheldon to build his little pedophile runway in his pedophile island so he could fly kids in there and do terrible things. But yes, it's definitely a great watch. Children of the Snow. If you haven't seen it, you missed out on a great one. And another one comes to mind. The Clown and the Candyman.
Oh, I can't do clowns. I can't.
Oh,
Absolutely
well,
not.
It's Gacy.
Ugh.
Gacy. It's about Gacy
Mm.
and a connection to the serial killer in Texas. Tremendous. If that will blow, if you have never heard of that and you watch it, it will blow your mind.
The Clown and
Blow
the
your mind.
Candyman. Okay.
The Clown and the
Clown.
Candyman.
I'm writing this in chat,
Anyway.
kids, so you guys can go look at it too.
Yeah. Got it. So what?
Now,
you wanna
can I
put,
ask you?
Amber's
yes.
question up there? We can
Oh,
get that
sure.
one
Go
over.
ahead. If you want to pull it up. My bad. I was.
I'm trying to find it. Homie the Clown crack is what. Homie, don't play that. DNA. Amber. It was Amber's.
Oh, yeah, the DNA question.
Yeah, why are they not using? So I think it was why is technology not being used for the right here? Why are they not using today's tech within the DNA available?
Okay, so the DNA. So in this case, well, let's say JonBenet's body was found totally wiped clean. Now she was wiped down.
Yeah, she was.
Her private areas, maybe her upper thighs, was wiped. So whoever killed her, whether it be 1, 2, 3 people involved, who knows, they wiped her down, or one person wiped her down.
Mm-hmm.
But what was left was, there was touch DNA everywhere. So if there was no DNA found at all, none, the Ramseys would have been convicted. They would have went to trial. They would have been found guilty. But the DNA, nothing. There was no. It wasn't the parents. It was other DNA in the waistband and in other areas. Now that Mary Keenan exoneration, right?
And it was on the handle too of the garage.
Oh, of the garage, yeah. I mean, under her fingernails, there's a bunch of stuff. Now, the waistband, they were excluding people off this, off of especially the waistband DNA. Mary Keenan, in that apology letter she sent, never said that it was 2 different males. Not 1, 2. So now you got 2 men that aren't John Ramsey.
Correct.
So a lot of people were thinking that there was a profile built off this DNA. when experts in 2016 looked at it, they said, wait a second, this is corrupted. Because if you were trying to find somebody off of this profile, it wouldn't, you can't use it to exclude anybody because it's really the profile of multiple people.
Right. Yeah.
It's not one. So it's already hard to believe one intruder, that the intruder theory is implausible just with one person. Now you're going to put multiple people in the house?
Right. Exactly.
Setting up shop? It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't.
No.
She's, in our opinion, she's killed elsewhere. If not the White House, taken from the White House, something goes wrong, brought back dead. The parents somehow allowed their child to be put in this situation. They know they can get in trouble because their kid is dead, even though they didn't do it. But whatever they were involved in, they're forced to cover up, bring her home. Maybe a couple others come with them and stage it.
Hence the ransom note.
And the ransom note, everything.
Yeah. Because somebody put in the chat too, I believe that the intruder climbed through the window. No, there was old cobwebs in the window.
Yeah, look.
That would have been, altered.
Right.
If it was a kidnapping, why the murder?
Right.
Right.
And if you went there to murder her, why did you bother hanging around writing a freaking 3.5-page long ransom note?
Exactly.
That makes no sense.
Right.
Lou Smith, told me, he goes, what happened to her? They took their time with her.
Yeah.
This wasn't, Ali,
they had tight access, and I say allowed access to her.
Yeah. Now, there's things that we can't speak to. We're trying to give all, we're not doing this, to make money. It's not about, let's write a book to make money. This is a case of this is our last resort. We tried to solve this via using other people, using reporters, doing stuff with Ali. There was a lot of stuff that we had going on in 2016 where there was funding for a parallel investigation. That stuff we don't usually talk too much about. But when everybody started dying, now the people, we were just digging up the information, giving it to people to try to get something done. Now they're all gone and we're stuck with the information. So when we die, when we kick off, nobody's going to know what we know. That's why we're doing this. That's why we're doing these podcasts and we come on the shows. We're not promoting any YouTube channel. We're not promoting any, we don't care about that. We just want everybody to have this information. And then with it, now look at the case different. And maybe somebody else can solve it 10 years from now. Right. That's why we're doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, like God, Amber just said, God bless you, Frank. Because I truly believe that.
Frank
like
and
you've
Jim.
been doing this, Frank and Jim. Well, I think Frank's here. It's Frank. It's the brother. Him and his brother Jim have been doing this for the past 29 years since it happened, and they've been doing it for all the right reasons because they see what's not happening and why it seems to not be solved. It's because it's the higher ups. It's all the cover, but it's not just one killer going down. It is a network of people involved, in my opinion, at this point, with all the information I've gathered recently. And like he said, if he was to pass tomorrow, he wants to be able to have his legacy of all of his work that he's put into this.
Frank's getting
and
up
hopefully
there.
there's
wow.
Even though you sound like a spring chicken.
Damn.
Well, no, I mean, I could get hit by a bus today. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude, it's true. Yeah, you never know.
You never know. And hopefully there's someone else that picks up. And there's or
speaking of, do you want to touch base on that time that you were in the car with your sister, Frank?
I think, was that Jay's podcast I mentioned that?
I think so. Maybe it's down the line. We can wait. That's fine.
I mean, it doesn't. I mean, if you want me to talk about it, I'll talk about it.
No, it's just that so yeah, they went. People don't want the information to get out there, and they were trying really hard to keep Frank and Jim to not open their mouth, basically.
Well, people always ask us, have we received threats and all that? Early on, yes, but it was mostly email stuff, which you ignore because it could be the people that file this case, like on the forums. A lot of them are just freaking insane. They're just insane.
100%. Yeah.
So,
I've
so
seen
you
it
just ignore
recently,
it.
believe me.
Well, I mean, for those who follow Karen Reed, you understand.
We get it. Yep.
Yeah.
There are people that will attack you for just having a different opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
But so you ignore those. So I don't even count that. So I've never really felt threatened. And there was one time, and that was 2004. Now, the attorney who represented Nancy from California, he leaves the country. But before, or maybe right after, he called me up and he was panicked. And he was, because I didn't use my name early on. I used different names. I used Frank Caradori, Frank Mitchell, just different names.
Francine?
And he was, Nikki's so freaking funny. I tell you, Francine. So, no, never Francine. And you know what happens if you call me Francis, nigga? I kill you. So, anyway, so Lee Hill calls me up and he's like, "Hey, Frank, man," he goes, "your name got out there." He goes, "There's bad people that know your name." And Lee had some car issues right before he left for Asia. Felt that his brake lines were cut. He was involved in a couple of accidents. Family members of him were rear-ended from behind. He started getting very paranoid, and he was worried.
Yeah,
I'm like, "Lee, don't worry."
Basically.
Yeah, I said, "Lee, I'm all the way across the country. Nobody gonna do nothing, man. They don't, they're not worried about me." And then, I get elbow surgery. My sister wants to go to church. I'm like, "All right, you drive." I can't drive, so I'm sitting in the passenger seat, and it's an empty highway. It's I-78 on a Sunday morning. Good weather, not many cars on the road. My sister has a heavy foot. She's doing about 70 miles an hour. So somebody drove up and drilled us in speeds over 120 miles an hour. It hit us so hard that it put my gas tank in the back seat of my car. Thankfully, my sister did not lose control. Thankfully, the car didn't explode. And, I was left with nerve damage and other issues in my neck. That was the only time I was like, or it got in my head a little bit. But you do this type of stuff, you can't get paranoid.
Right.
You can't do it. So, it happened, and that's it. Was that something connected to Lee? I don't know. I try not to think about it. It's happened, and that's it.
Yeah. And that was the only time that you ever felt like truly threatened like that?
Yeah, I mean, other than that, other than phone calls and which, I don't care. There's other people. There's one cop threatening to, stick his gun in my mouth. Come to me, stick his gun in my mouth, and blow the brains out of the back of my head.
Yeah.
And I was actually trying to help this. I was trying to help this cop. He was.
Go figure.
Yeah. I viewed him, and I was trying to help him. I didn't view him as a bad guy. This particular Boulder cop, but for whatever reason, so I was like, all right. I get the message. I'll never call you again. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
So, other like stuff like that, that's it.
People become very unhinged when they have a narrow mind and unwilling to open up their mind to new information. And that for me, like, I want all the information. I want to get down to the nitty gritty. I don't get married to an idea. And I had other ideas of what mainstream media and other, and I'm not going to mention their name, their channel, but they have very narrow-minded ways and unwilling to look at information. And I started looking at your information, and you completely opened my eyes to what was really going on. People need to be willing to accept new information. And when you come out and you've been investigating this for so long, people get so unhinged that they think that they can bully you and threaten you into submission. And I don't know about you, but someone like me, that makes me want to go harder at finding out the real information, right? Like,
well,
you're
because
not,
there's a reason that they're scared. That shows their guilt right there.
Absolutely. Yes.
And
absolutely.
Frank and Jim, they haven't given up, and they've gotten right down to the nitty-gritty. Yeah.
And it is threatening to people who are like, oh my God, what if they really uncover, which in my opinion, I mean, I don't know all the details of what you know, except for what you share. But I do believe that you and your brother probably have more information than anyone on this planet about this case, because clearly the cops don't. Or just the douchebags at the top who are trying to do the cover up and not wanting anyone to know what's going on. Right. So they think that if they can intimidate you into submission, that they can get rid of you. And look, it is not done that. You continue to do it. And I pray that you guys always continue to do it as long as you can.
I mean, we're not going to be intimidated. I mean, this is why we made attention to the forums, because this vitriol, the name calling, the going back, we thought it was just silly. You can't solve a case like that.
Right.
I mean, all we're doing is trying to solve it. That's why we had very, very limited dealings with the people on the internet. We just thought they weren't of any use. Yeah, it's great to talk about a case.
Right.
I mean, anybody can talk about a case, but if you're trying to investigate it, you have to do things a certain way. Now, I want to address one thing. I forget, there was a comment. There was a comment, several comments made saying what we did was incorrect, the way we operated.
Who said that?
Who
said that? In our chat or online?
No. It may have been an email I got from this chat or something. It went something like this. It was faulty. What we did was look. We had a theory, and then all we tried to do was prove our theory true. Okay, look. When you let's say you're investigating any murder case, right? You walk into the house, and you see a guy laying in bed with a gun in his hand. What's your theory? Your theory is he committed suicide, right? But then as more evidence appears, your theory is supposed to change.
Right.
That's what we did with Ramsey. We had an initial theory, the sex ring theory, and we kept digging and digging. At any moment, that theory could have changed. We could have found evidence maybe that John was, a child pornographer. Then that would, maybe alter it, and maybe John did it. But the thing was, we never had to change our theory because our theory kept being proven true.
Right.
So we didn't have to change.
With the poems. Yeah, with the poems. Like, you thought it was probably just a random until you started getting proof that people wanted that, and it was important. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Wait till when people learn about St. John's, if you follow the case really, really well, all the names that came out, Access, people from Access Graphics, their reputations were destroyed because they were looked at as possibly being involved in the murder. And just other people, their lives and careers ruined. But yet, nobody ever heard a peep out of St. John's.
Right, exactly.
Which is critical,
and
right?
Why? Yeah.
John and Patsy attended the church. People that were there that morning attended St. John's. The victim, JonBenet, attended St. John's. but nobody ever said a word about it. And
Right.
when we're done with the book, you're gonna know why.
Yeah.
Nobody ever said a word about it, because whatever was going on there, it was not good.
And it was
Yeah.
very tight-lipped.
Yeah. Oh, they're very tight-lipped. All right.
Yeah.
Anyway,
And
any
I'm
other questions,
and I,
ladies?
I'm big on too that, like, if you know what's going on and like I see something, say something. If you know it went on and kept your mouth shut, you are complicit in hurting and allowing this to happen. You are too complicit in it. That's my
Correct.
opinion. I'm speaking for myself. Like, if you know something's happening to children and there's these parties and there's all this stuff going on, and you chose to stay silent and I get that people are scared and stuff like that, but when it comes to children, I draw a hard stop.
Yeah.
Come and intimidate me if you have to. I'm going to say something. So I when I hear about all these people that are covering up for these bad people, they might not be doing it. They might not have any direct involvement in it, but you're just as complicit by allowing this to happen, because by not saying something, you probably put hundreds and hundreds of other children in harm's way. And I don't agree with
That's
that either.
that's a very good point, Amy, and that's another reason why we're doing what we're doing.
Mhm.
Right.
Because, I had one investigator, and this is in dealing with St. John's. He just, told
St.
me,
John's in Boulder, Colorado. by
yeah,
the way.
St. John's
Somebody
Episcopal Church,
Mhm.
John and Patsy's church, Reverend Holverstock, who was there that morning, he was the head priest. John and Barb Fernie at the house that morning. They are big time players at that church.
The White. Yeah.
Oh no, now Fleet went to, I think he was present, but he didn't. He's the outlier. Fleet is the outlier. He didn't attend St. John's. Everybody else did. Francis
Okay.
Buff, who when Patsy was brought to the Fernies after the body was found, they could have got medication from any one of her cancer doctors.
The
But who do they
pediatrician.
call? They called Dr. Francis Booth, the pediatrician, to
Mhm.
come and medicate the daylights out of her.
Yeah.
Where did he go to church?
JonBenet's pediatrician.
Yeah, Francis Booth went to St. John's. So there's this huge St. John's connection there that morning.
Right.
But
Right.
going back to it, what I was saying was, we're doing this also, as the one investigator said, he goes, hey, just let this stuff go from St. John's. It happened a long time ago. There's no reason, to bring it up. And I'm like, dude, I'm not, you guys want to cover for this dude or other people doing stuff to kids. Now, if I take this information and I keep my mouth shut, now I'm complicit.
Right.
I said, we're not doing that. We're not going to do it.
Mhm.
So that's another reason why we're working on a project is, hey, screw that, man. Everybody else
Yeah.
covered for this guy. We're not going to do it.
Right.
Yes, absolutely. Amen. Amen, Frank. Amen.
Yeah.
Because if
It
you're
makes you wonder
standing by,
though, like the pediatrician that was medicating Patsy, he was JonBenet's pediatrician, and I mean there was Frankie, like how many
I
times
know.
didn't they bring her like 6 times because she had like
Yeah, she had
tract infections and stuff.
a lot of visits to that pediatrician.
Correct. Yeah.
Let's just say that.
Yeah.
And this is, now he'll say, nothing was, I examined her, nothing, nothing bad, there was no evidence of anything that I ever saw.
Right.
And this is the problem with this case. These key points, these key choke points that would make the case turn on a dime if proven true have been muddied, right?
Yeah.
Prior sexual abuse.
Right.
Linda Arndt, at the autopsy, she's hearing what's being read to her, and she's like, oh yeah, this kid was abused prior. Cyril Wecht, right? Famous pathologist, just recently passed away. He wrote a book on the case too. He was like, when you read the autopsy report to Cyril Wecht, no brainer prior sexual abuse.
Mm-hmm.
But yet you get other experts, John and Patsy hire other experts, and they say, oh no, it could have been this. It was just irritation in the vaginal area, and that's why this and that. So you have some people who swear that when you read the autopsy report, what is written it's almost textbook. Yeah, this is prior. Something was happening to this girl prior to her death, and other experts will say, no, it's totally wrong.
Yeah.
It's so you can't get a true answer, and they've done this with almost every aspect of the case that's important.
Yeah. Yeah. The
Yeah.
DNA.
The
And it's
DNA is a
scary.
mess.
Yeah.
Do
And
not
what's scary
hold out
is that
hope.
this.
Go ahead,
I was
Amy.
going to say that I'm sorry that the Boulder pediatrician is a mandated reporter. If he knew that there was sexual something, or even an inkling that there was SA happening at all, doesn't matter who it was. He's a mandated reporter, and
Yeah.
I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that he didn't report anything. Right?
Oh.
Well, I mean, he will say that there was nothing. He never saw anything that resembled any kind of abuse.
Yeah.
You know,
when I first heard of this case,
what are you gonna do?
right? And so just because of my personal experiences, she wet the bed a lot.
Yes.
And that's so because I used to do that, and it was, if that shouldn't have been like a tall tale sign for my parents, you know what I mean? Like, so it was like an ongoing thing with her. Like, she continuously wet the bed, and that's a sign of sexual trauma right there. Not always.
Not always, but when you start adding things up,
Yeah.
it plays a role. But you'll have other people that will say, no. Yeah, while it does happen with people who have been kids sexually abused,
Yeah.
there's also other reasons.
Yeah. Yeah.
So again, it's muddied. You can't get to the bottom of it. People out there, you're waiting for a DNA hit. That's never gonna come. I'm telling you. The DNA, if they try to pin this on somebody who's alive, if that person has money and hires a halfway decent DNA guy, the case will get thrown out so quick. Watch.
Yeah.
Yep.
This case is going to be a mystery
that's
forever.
Sad to say.
It's tragic.
Yeah.
The only way to solve this case is what we're doing. This project is meant to bring about a certain. You need to pit the institutions against each other.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Once you do that, and because there's never been pressure applied in this case to anyone.
Right. Correct.
Nobody's ever received pressure. Never been an arrest.
In come the
How
Zell
many-
brothers.
Well, now we have a little leverage that we're going to use, and we're going to use that leverage by bashing institutions over the head with it, and demand they give an answer, and they won't be able to. And that
Not
will
physically, people, theoretically, metaphorically.
Exactly. we're gonna bash the institutions, not individuals.
Yeah.
But that's the only way this case gets solved. Only way is to now apply pressure. Have people risk losing their jobs, maybe losing their pensions.
Right.
People do amazing things. People get weird and they start to talk when you apply pressure.
I mean, most people are deceased from the major people, aren't they?
Say that again, Nikki.
The people that are kind of like big players in the game, basically, like in the storyline, like most of them are deceased at this point, correct?
I mean, there's Santa's gone, Hoverstock is gone. Now, if Hoverstock was alive, we would have a huge amount of leverage.
Yeah.
This case is going to center around that church. I'm telling you, that's the way. The church is going to play a role if we have our way. And you have to, once people find out what happened, what was going on at that church, and they read documents, they're going to, like I said, you're going to have to ask questions. Hunter is now gone, but Keenan's still alive.
Yeah.
You don't think, everybody, once again, something happened in this church in 1999. Child pornography was found there. They conducted a search there and they removed child pornography from that church. This is not speculation. This is fact.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody knows that it happened. The
Outside of the
Ramsey church, the Ramsey church, people, big players there were there that morning, called by the family. There's a connection. And now you find child pornography there 2.5 years and you don't make an arrest. And we caught him.
Yeah.
Right.
We have witnesses to the event.
Yeah.
Payouts. People accepting bribes to keep their mouth shut. We got it.
Yeah.
And when people learn this, they're going to be like, what the hell?
Checks basically just, they how do they word it? Checks just for their pain and suffering.
Oh, yeah. Our witness. People admitted taking money.
Yeah.
For pain and suffering.
Yeah.
But the thing was, how do you catch a guy red-handed with child pornography, remove him from the premises, and not arrest him?
Right.
That's called collusion.
Yeah.
The church,
Right.
the DA's office, and the cops, they all work together to cover for a pedophile that they caught. But because if you want to look innocently, they didn't want any more bad public relations with now this happening. That's the innocent version of the story. But still, you allowed him to walk free. That's malfeasance. You put your own citizens in jeopardy
Right.
by letting this guy go. So that alone should get the case ripped away from the city of Boulder. Their handling of this church incident, which people will learn more about, hopefully by November of this year. But once you know it, you ain't ever going to unknow it.
I'm waiting with bated breath for this
So far away.
project.
I'm telling him to hurry up, but
yeah, to be thorough, it needs to be. I cannot wait for this book. Yeah, or your project rather, I should say.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, look, it's a book. We can call it, we can say, technically we're not supposed to say anything. It's a book.
Yeah.
Okay.
And at this point, it's going to be it's going to be an absolutely huge book because I forget where we're at page-wise, but it's a lot.
Yeah.
But there's going to be stuff in there, and there's going to be information in there that people have never seen or heard in there.
Yeah.
And there's other cases that we haven't talked about, which people are just going to be like, how the hell does this happen in this town?
They're all linked. They're all linked.
Yeah.
Everybody's
in cahoots. Everybody's in cahoots.
They're just linked in one way, shape, or form.
The unfortunate part is that a lot of people are deceased, right? So, but they're still going to get named, and there's still more people under that because we'd be ignorant to think that just because it started with those people that it didn't trickle down, right?
Well, I mean, look, there still are plenty of people still alive that, especially when it comes to the
No, hang tight.
We lost him. We're going to have to wrap up, but we're going to continue this next Sunday too.
Wait for, the hell at the press conference. There's a lot. It's a great story. And when you see what the chief of, when you see what the cops were doing to people behind the scenes, it's really going to blow your mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's crazy.
But
the whole thing.
I told Frank he needs to narrate it.
Oh my God, I was just going to ask. Please tell me it's going to be on audio please tell me it'll be on audio and please read it. I want you to read it.
Listen to the soothing sounds of the soothing sounds of Frank Zell.
Yeah, the true crime Frank Zell book. Yeah, I'll listen to that over and over.
I love my audiobooks.
I do. I'm not an audiobook fan. But I want you to narrate it. Don't pay somebody. Oh my goodness. All right, guys. So we're gonna finish up next week. Next Sunday at 10 a.m. We're gonna finish through that interview. And Frank, obviously, if you're around, we would love to have you come on and kind of do the same thing, answer some questions, fill in some holes. We love you here, and thank you for being a part of our channel today.
Again, Amy, I can't thank you enough for going over the podcast and having me on. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah.
We love that you're here. Yes, thank you so much for being here. Thank you
Thanks,
so
All
much.
right.
So
Next
yes.
week.
Soon.
Next week, 10 a.m. we will be here. And I want to thank everybody who's been in chat and asking very good questions. We will be wrapping up the interview that we were going through today with Every Day from Jay with our friend Frank and his brother Jim. And hopefully, like Jim said, he'll come up and speak with us a little bit. And we will see you next week. I might do a live about a different case later on, but until then, guys, we will see you here for more part 8 of the unsolved case of JonBenet Ramsey. So, everyone's saying thank you, Frank. Thanks again, Frank.
Thanks for
Good
having me
chatting with
on,
everybody.
ladies. Appreciate it.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. All right,
Drive
guys.
safe.
Until next Sunday. Yeah,
Thanks,
drive
Nikki.
safe.
Thank you, ladies. Enjoy your
right.
Sunday.
All right,
All
you
right.
too, Frank.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.